is the deep back along with Harvey Williams. And we are set to go as John Casey will kick it away for the Seahawks. And at the 5-yard line, here is the Rocket to the 20, the 25, high steps to the 30. A flag is down as he comes down at about the 33-yard line. Rob Thomas with the tackle on the special teams for the Seahawks. Dick Hantak is the referee for the ball game this afternoon.
Holding during the return, 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the Raiders will have the ball first down, and the quarterback will be Jeff Hostetler. The offensive line for the Raiders, this is a well-known offensive line, but they have not been able to establish a running attack behind them. Hostetler, who you saw, he is the key to the offense. He is the man.
And when they go to their nickel, they bring in Jet and Ishmael. Ishmael's the important one. Look for him to almost take a Dave Meggett approach from the Giants coming out of the backfield. They've got to throw the ball because you talk about that line, all pro bowls, and they can't run the ball.
And so we expect the Raiders today to throw to establish the throw.
Exactly.
And they have a first down at their own 22-yard line, and Hostetler to throw. Good protection, fires and overthrows everybody. Tim Brown, the intended receiver. It will be second down. Defensively, for the Seattle Seahawks, the key there, Cortez Kennedy, number 96. He is off to a great start. Terry Wooden with a big interception last week. Secondary, corners are going to be tested and tested and tested.
And when they get to the nickel defense, the people to be tested, led by Orlando Waters, they're going to go after these guys. They've got to test the defensive backs because they can be beaten deep.
Jim Brown comes across in motion. And here's a sweep to the right side, Tyrone Montgomery. And he's going to pick up maybe a foot. Let's see where they mark it. Maybe a half yard, maximum a yard before Gray makes the stop.
And that was a good support on the run by Carlton Gray, but the key for Carlton Gray today is going to be how he handles these Raider wide receivers. Henry Ellard turned him around several times last week. Desmond Howard beat him last week for a big touchdown, so the young cornerback will be tested repeatedly.
Mark it for a gain of a yard, 1 yard rushing so far for the Raiders. That is the stat we'll be watching. It is third down and 9. And we have leaning and motion in the slot on the right side. I believe it was James Jett. And a flag went down. It had to be movement.
Ball start. Offense. Number 82 simulating the start of the play. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
And I don't agree with that call because he could settle back, but nobody came with him defensively. All right, we would now like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Pittsburgh-Cleveland ball game. Pittsburgh defeating Cleveland by 7. Final score 17-10. Ball game just underway here. We have no score. Seattle and the Raiders. Third down and 14. Hostetler steps away from the pressure. Wobbly pass is incomplete. There are no flags. Tim Brown, the intended receiver. Hostetler is going to come over and argue. He will lose this argument. Patrick Hunter had the cover. It'll be fourth down. The Raiders will be kicking. So in reality, it is 3 plus the penalty and out.
The thing to look for here, there was some tripping. Let's see if this is a catchable ball. Hostetler's timing and throws were just a little bit off. There was a trip, but I do not believe that would have been a catchable ball for Tim Brown. That's why it was not pass interference.
Jeff Gossett will be kicking. Kelvin Martin is the return man. The Seahawks should have excellent field position. A return is on. There is no rush at all. He goes for the sideline. And Martin has it at the 40, picks up a block 45, only about 7, maybe 8 yards on the return. Rob Holmberg with the tackle for the Raiders. And so Seattle will move on offense for the first time in the ball game. Rick Meyer, their quarterback. His offensive line, it is a big offensive line, but a very effective offensive line.
Seattle's ball first and 10.
Backs and receivers look for Chris Warren, off to a great start, 100 yards last week.
And in the three wides, in the nickel, they want to get Michael Bates in for one simple reason. They need the speed element in this offense.
So Seattle starts from their own 48-yard line. And Seattle comes out throwing. Underneath the coverage, pass is complete to about the 46-yard line of the Raiders as the tight end Farrell Edmonds, known as the Tree, pulls it in. Winston Moss with the tackle. Let's check out that defense for the Raiders. Scott Davis, of course, is no longer with the ball club. We'll be talking about that. Jerry Ball has moved inside. Harrison has moved outside on that line. In the secondary, the safeties are going to be tested by Seattle.
And also, if that front seven can't get pressure on the quarterback, people can exploit these defensive backs. The 49ers proved that last week.
Second down, a little over 3. Now they go to the ground, and here is Chris Warren. He will be close to the first down, maybe a yard shy. So it should be third down and short.
One of the interesting things to me in the sort of the brave new world of the NFL since I retired 5 years ago, Charlie, is you've got an offensive line that's, averages 310, 315 on their program weights. But it used to be those were the guys that just sort of mushed the ball, ran it right at you, and slammed you in the face. This is a big physical offensive line that is capable of moving and pulling, and they did a great job last week against the Washington Redskins.
The chains are going to come out. You mentioned the fact that these are program weights, and that sometimes has absolutely nothing to do with reality. It could be a work of fiction.
It's usually 10 or 15 pounds off. And it's scary to think that those are 10 or 15 pounds off, and the midget's 300-pound Ray Donald.
It'll be third down, about half a yard, and Steve Smith, the former Raider, comes in at fullback. And they'll go with the big back set. Tracy Johnson and Steve Smith are the running back. Smith, when he was with the Raiders, used primarily as a blocker, and he is an excellent blocker. This time he is the ball carrier against his former teammates, 40-yard line, and Steve Smith picks up the first down. He had 20 yards rushing on 3 carries last week against the Redskins, but a very early appearance for him in this ballgame.
A very important appearance for Steve Smith, a very important play for Tom Flores to physically kind of set the tone from his offensive line standpoint, going forward on third down like that, running it up the middle like they did, and just telling the Raiders front seven, we're here and we're going to be here all day.
Warren goes in motion. Myers sets a throw. As pressure goes deep, man coverage, and the pass is complete. As Brian Blaze pulls it down at the 17-yard line with Terry McDaniel all over him. Excellent catch.
Just a good example of Rick Meyer and the poise he shows in the pocket. He's getting the blitz. He's getting the pressure from Beaker coming around from his middle linebacker position, and he hung in. He put the ball where it could be caught.
And this is the pressure we were talking about.
Well, watch the feet. Look at him step into that throw. I mean, not all quarterbacks will step into a throw seeing pressure coming.
And Beaker, the inside linebacker from Colorado, he was the man applying the pressure, and a gain of 24 on the play. And now here is Warren. Warren just a straight shot up the middle. Goes to the 10-yard line, so he's going to pick up almost 7 yards on the play. We'll call it second down and 3 as Eddie Anderson makes the tackle. One thing that Warren said, he said it's not the gains of 24 on the ground or the gains of 25. It's the gains of 5, 6, and 7. Those are the gains that you win a ball club with.
And he's a big running back with a big line that can be very deceiving. He'll look like a 2 or 3 yard gain. It'll be 5.
Second down, here is Warren again, shut off inside, goes outside, turns the corner, slips the tackle out of bounds. Nice move, 4-yard line. It's going to be first down and goal to go as Hoskins chased him out.
Warren's got a running style. I just like to prefer to it as pretty. It's just a very beautiful style of running. It doesn't look like he's running real hard. He makes it look very, very simple, but he's got the good speed, and then he's got the strength to go with the speed, as you can see with that straight arm of Hoskins.
Remember last week in Washington, there was an article in the Washington Post on him from his high school coach, and his nickname was Smooth. He does not like the nickname Smooth.
It fits.
It does. And here he is as he smoothly moves to the goal line and has the touchdown. Chris Warren. He scored scores from 4 yards out. An opening drive of 52 yards for the Seahawks. They move on top.
And we talked about the attitude of the offensive line and the lack of attitude of the Raiders defense. Watch this example for a lack of defensive attitude. Sure, the Seattle Seahawks are blocking well, but there's no fire. There is no attitude. And you know, I mentioned Scott Davis earlier. He's walked out on the Raiders. He was brought here to be an attitude guy. Gets in a fight with a young linebacker, Beaker, and he leaves. And that kind of an attitude affects the rest of the team.
John Casey now to attempt the point after. And it is good. And Seattle moves on top of the Los Angeles Raiders by a score of 7-0 with 10:05. That is the time remaining. We're in the first quarter in the Coliseum. Back to the kickoff. Not quite 5 minutes deep in the ball game, and Seattle out in front of the Raiders by a score of 7-0. And there have been a lot of good matchups over the years between the Seahawks and the Raiders, but the Raiders have dominated. They've won the last 8 in a row.
Well, the Seahawks basically said, you see this right hand, you see this fist, I'm going to put it in your face. That's exactly what they did. They put their fist right in the Raiders' face, and the Raiders did nothing about it.
Harvey Williams and the Rocket Ismail are set for the kickoff return of John Casey. Moving under is Harvey Williams. Williams makes a cut, stumbles a bit at the 14, and then he is spun under at the 19-yard line by John Vaughn. Vaughn making some excellent plays last week on the special teams, has one here.
And Rusty Tillman, now the defensive coordinator, longtime special teams guy here in Seattle, talks glowingly about this young guy and his ability to get down the field. Now as a running back, his aggressiveness with his tackling. And right now with this new kickoff rule from the 30, if you can get the other team inside the 20-yard line, you're actually taking about 10 yards from the quarterback in the offense.
The Raiders in offense for the second time in the ballgame in about the same spot. They were 3 and out. This pass is complete. And it's going to pick up close to 9 yards as Alexander Wright stretches out right at the end of the play. It'll be 2nd down and 1. Patrick Hunter with the stop for Seattle.
Well, you mentioned in the first series that the Raiders are going to pass to set up the pass, Charlie. This is going to keep going this way until they get a feel, until they get an idea of exactly what it is that Seattle's doing, especially on first down. Art Shell feels as much stunning and blitzing as the Seahawks do. You've got to throw it on first to give your quarterback in line a chance to see what's going on.
2nd down and 1. And here is Montgomery off the right side, and Tyrone is going to pick up the first down. He has 3 yards on the carry. So now the Raiders have 2 carries rushing and a total of 4 yards on the ground. And this is a big question mark with their offense. And you have to have somewhere along the line, you have to have a running game.
As sorry as it might sound, that's actually above their average from Monday night. They averaged 1.7. They got 34 yards rushing against the 49ers last week. They do not have a back at this point that has stepped up and said, I want the job by performance.
It's a first down at the 31. Hostetler to throw. Goes far side. It is high. Pulled down by Montgomery, who came out of the backfield. He's going to pick up about 6 yards on the play. Talk about the rushing yards per game. Let's take an in-depth look.
Well, the Seahawks, the AFC's #1 rushing team, is a team. We talk about the line. We talk about what they're good at it. They came out being real good at it last week. And, you know, regardless of a 14-0 lead by the Raiders last week, by the 49ers, the Raiders' running game was very, very weak.
2nd down and 3. And here is Montgomery. He is shut off inside, gets around the corner, and across the 45 and out at about the 46-yard line as Robert Blackman finally stopped him as he makes a nice move to his left and picks up the first down. 2nd first down on the drive for the Raiders.
Watch the penetration that Antonio Edwards gets right up the middle. There he comes. Right up the middle. Can't follow through on the tackle, though. And with the speed that Montgomery's got, he can get the corner on a play that was designed to hit much faster, but the penetration slowed it down.
They'll spot it at the 45. First down, Raiders. Hostetler, play action fake, freezes the linebackers, has time, he's going to scramble. He is to the 50, he is looking at the marker, out of bounds, first down. You could just see him set his sights on the marker for the first down. He
if you could see the look on Art Shell's face, I'm sure he's saying, get the first and get out. You're going to take enough shots, but when you talk to the Seattle Seahawks defense, it's part of the Raider offense they really worry about is Jeff Hostetler's not so much just his ability to run, it's his willingness to run. It's his attitude. You know, here's a guy that they originally in college wanted to make a linebacker, so it tells you a little something about his attitude.
That, by the way, as you look at the man, number 15, the Raiders' longest run from scrimmage this season. And flags come flying. And here's Dick Hantag.
Ball start. Offense simulating a snap. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So it'll be first down 15.
It's also technical, Charlie, when they're simulating a snap.
Yeah.
They didn't mean it. It was offside.
Oh, it was just a simulation? We're simulating an out.
It looked like a real offside to me. I thought it was simulating.
No, I think it was a simulation. First and 15, the ball at the 47-yard line. Second offensive possession for the Raiders. They started from their 19. Now at the Seahawks 47-yard line, first down. And Hostetler to throw. Has lots of time. And he comes back underneath to his tight end, Andrew Glover. Glover, 6'6", 245 pounds, and in college, he was a champion triple jumper.
He's a target that Jeff Hostetler not only has a hard time missing, has got to find on a regular basis, because defenses are going to play off on his wide receivers. They're going to double him underneath, try to take that away, and when they do that, he's got to be able to get the ball to Glover.
Glover from Grambling also was a basketball star, a true three-sport star. Second down and 8 after that gain of 7. And Hostetler to throw again. Deep over the middle, and the reception at the 25-yard line. Alexander Wright is the man who caught it, but a couple of Raiders, including Tim Brown, tried to pull it down over the middle.
A couple guys kind of wave at it. Watch everything go over the middle here. It's sort of first guy at it, it's yours. 1, 2, and the last guy slides in at the end.
So mark it at the 25-yard line of the Seahawks first down.
And it's one of the things Jeff Hostetler said about Monday night, Charlie. Our timing and our execution was a little off. That is not, I'm sure, how you execute that passing play.
Hostetler again to throw. Again, good protection. Goes underneath the coverage. And as Tim Brown, he is spun down at the 20-yard line. So it's a gain of 5, second down and 5. And as we suspected, the Raiders are using the pass to establish the pass.
You know, I was on an offensive line at San Francisco that was undersized, and that's why we did it. The Raiders have an offensive line that should pound the ball and should not have to resort to putting Tim Brown like this underneath around linebackers. Sure, Carlton Gray's with him there, but I mean, that's a territory that a wide receiver can take a nasty shot from an inside linebacker.
Second and 5 at the 20-yard line. Seahawks lead at 7-0. We're in the first quarter. Here's a sweep to the near side. It's Tyrone Montgomery. And they string him out, and they'll take him out of bounds at the 18-yard line. So he went a long way, but he only picked up a couple.
There's a flag down there. The entire left side of the Raiders line, along with the right side of the right side of the Raiders line, left side of the defensive line. Everybody kind of took off a little early.
Preliminary signal is against the Seahawks.
Offside. Defense, number 67, 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down, second down.
And that's called Antonio Edwards, who once again has drawn the starting assignment at left end, replacing Michael Sinclair.
That's another example of the new rules here in the NFL. It used to be you erred on the side of blaming the offense when there's any kind of movement. Now if there's an error, they're going to err on the side of blaming the defense.
All right, so you can spot the ball just shy of the 15. Hostetler, a perfect record, 5 of 5 through the air. Plus, remember, he rushed for 13. Second down and short. And Tom Rathman gets the call. Has the first down. They mark it just inside the 12-yard line.
You want to see a guy with an attitude running the ball. It's Tom Rathman. He's somebody I think the defenders for the Los Angeles Raiders could learn a lot from his approach to football. It's very much, I got the crew cut, and I'm going to stick my face right in your chest as hard as I can for as long as I can.
He's a true blue-collar worker, isn't he?
He really is. He's got the same kind of attitude most coaches look for in offensive linemen.
3:39 and counting. That is the time remaining in the first quarter. Raiders trail by 7. Hostetter now has pressure. He is down. Cortez Kennedy with the sack. And it looked for a moment as if the protection was going to stand up, and then Tez said, no, it's not.
Well, Tez doesn't have to get a whole big chunk of you to put you down on the ground. Watch Hostetter get good protection. Look,
Bam.
Black.
Whoa.
And that's what Tez does well. He gets the penetration, and he takes those last couple of decisions and looks away from the quarterback.
Even when we talked to him last week, he is huge. We know that he's big, but I mean, he is bigger than big. And very quick. 2nd and 18. Hostetter to throw. Wants to set up a screen. It's not there. As pressure throws it away in reality. Just out of the reach of Tom Rathman. And it was Michael Sinclair who was chasing it. So it's going to be 3rd down and 18. And this drive that started with such promise back at the Raiders' 19-yard line now beginning to sputter. And the key for the Seahawks, of course, was the sack by Tez Kennedy.
If you play the Los Angeles Raiders, especially when you know their offense is struggling a little bit, this is how you want the Raiders to go. You want them to have to go 10, 12, 13 plays to score a touchdown. You don't want them going downfield. And right now, the Raiders haven't thrown downfield. That's including last week.
3rd down and 18. Porter may have gotten an early start. Flag is down. Pass is complete to Tim Brown. He is down at the 14-yard line. And we have a flag on this side and a flag on the other side. Rod Stevens with the tackle for the Seahawks. And remember, the kickoff to the Raiders came with 10:05. That was the time remaining in the first, and now we have 2:55 left. So they run a lot of time off of the clock.
Offsides. Defense, number 97, 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down, 3rd down.
Rufus Porter with a rolling start. He was a step past the line of scrimmage with a snap.
Well, what this does is this puts the Raiders, instead of in 3rd and unreasonable, it puts them in 3rd and long. But where they got to get all the way down to the 2-yard line for a 1st down, Charlie. So here's the decision Art Shell and the staff has. Do you want a field goal, and do you throw it short, or do you want to go for the touchdown and you throw it into the Raider letters in there in the end zone?
3rd down and 14. Hostetter looking deep, throws it underneath the cover. 8-yard line. Darrell Hobbs pulls it in. I had the feeling he looked deep. There wasn't anything there. Said, okay, we'll come back underneath. We'll set up the field goal attempt.
Well, Hobbs is a receiver the Raiders really like. And what they like about Hobbs is he's got the ability to run after he catches the ball. And when you throw a ball underneath like this, this is what you're hoping and praying, that a receiver can break a tackle or two and make something happen.
26-yard field goal attempt by Jeff Jager. Gossett to hold, and Dan Turk is the snapper. The ball will be placed down just inside the 16-yard line. And it is good. And so the Raiders are on the board. The Seahawks lead at 7-3. Back for the kickoff in a moment. Back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles. The Raiders now trail Seattle by a score of 7-3. Jeff Jager will be kicking off with John Vaughn and Michael Bates, the return man. And it is taken at the 6-yard line by Bates. Bates will swing to the far side. He makes his cut inside what would have been a block, but it was simply not there, and Donald Frank makes the tackle. That stops the clock. 1:54. That is the time remaining in the first period. We're going to step aside. We'll be back to the Coliseum in just a moment.
Ball spotted on the 22-yard line. 17 yards on the return.
1:54 left, first quarter. Seattle leading the Raiders 7-3. In case you do not know, Kansas City defeated the 49ers earlier today, 24-17. So Kansas City leading the West. The record now is 2-0. Seattle's record coming into this ballgame is 1-0. The Raiders are looking for their first victory. Myers steps away. A flag is down, makes a cut, and he is down. As Terry McDaniel just grabbed him and pulled him down, and we'll check out the flag. It's going to go against the Seahawks.
A lot of downs on that play, Charlie. That was a takedown. That was a flat-out tackle, but, you know, linemen are willing to do that to protect the quarterback.
Holding. offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down. First down.
That's on Ray Roberts to tackle. The offensive center for the Seahawks, as a matter of fact, this week, talking about his quarterback, Rick Myers, said, if we protect that kid, we'll see some good things. And he's right.
He's absolutely right. He has. Donaldson's never really played with a quarterback like this. Jeff George showed flashes of brilliance when he was at the Colts, but this is the guy I think that can take this organization all the way to the last game of the year.
So now they show the shotgun. And the handoff underneath to Warren. And he's going to struggle just for a couple, maybe 3 yards. And that's going to be it as we go to New York for an update. And here's our good friend Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Charlie, in Dallas, Emmett Smith gave the call to my good friends Charlie and Randy.
All right, thank you, Greg. Less than a minute to go, first quarter here. It is second down and extremely long, 17 or 18 yards for the first down. Far side wobbly pass, but pulled in by Kelvin Martin, who had 4 receptions last week, and Lionel Washington had the coverage for the Raiders.
Well, a pass like that, too, puts you in reasonable range on third down. It's getting a little greedy, especially with the young quarterback, to say, well, gee, get us back the whole chunk right away, Rick. He, at this point of his career, might not be capable of doing that, but this gets him back into the category of the 6-7 yards, and that's very much within his capabilities.
Third down and 6. Warren stays in the block. Meyer rolls, has pressure, and he dumps it off. Now, that's a rule that was put in last year. Once you get outside of your tackles, in other words, outside of the pocket, you can dump the ball, or in other words, intentionally ground the ball to avoid the loss, cost you the down.
Well, the Raiders are showing blitz. They bring blitz. Andre Bruce loses contain, and Myers says, I'll live to throw another day. He just says, the heck with it, I'll get rid of it.
So it is fourth down and 6. Tim Brown is the return man. Rick Tootin will be kicking. Check of the flags at the Coliseum. There's a bit of a breeze. If any at all, it would help him, but not that much. And a pretty good kick, but we've got flags and whistles. And Tim Brown frozen in time at the 33. I thought I heard a whistle, and then I looked at Tim, and I knew that I had heard it.
Delay. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still fourth down.
We have 16 seconds. That is the time remaining now in the first quarter. Seattle leading at 7-3. They'll reset the game clock.
Please return the game. Please return the game clock.
So while we do a little housekeeping, the bottom line, the Raiders are going to have very good field position.
That was a great job by the Raiders defense to get him the field position. Because with Jeff Hostetler in this offense, obviously in a passing mode, they don't need to be backed up. Because if you're backed up, that means more stunts and blitzes. And if you're backed up and your quarterback's getting more stunts and blitzes, if he doesn't get the pass off just right, it means interceptions and it means a beating for Jeff Hostetler.
All right, Tootin will try it again. Tim Brown at the 40-yard line. Oh, good kick. Brown backpedaling. 24-yard line. 55 yards on the kick. And a good return, slips a couple of tacklers and out of bounds. But Rick Tootin really nailed that one. 55 yards. Tim Brown got 15 on the counterpunt. And we'll step aside. The score, Seattle 7, Raiders 3. It is a fine miss from the Raiders sideline.
That's their, I guess you call that a spritzer. They sit under that. It's nice cold water. And they have it on both sides. The catch is, I think it's hot water on the other side.
Raiders now from their own 40-yard line. The Rocket is in the offensive set. As Hostetler goes to Tim Brown. Patrick Hunter makes the tackle. That is the last play of the first quarter. 1 in the book, 3 to go. Seahawks lead it 7-3. Back in a moment. Again here at the Coliseum following the earthquake. A $60 million fixer-upper here in Los Angeles. They've done a tremendous job.
An incredible job of everybody working together to get this done. Just a wonderful job.
Unbelievable. 48-yard line of the Seahawks. A gain of 12 on the last play. And a first down for the Raiders. And guarding the ball is Harvey Williams as he starts to the right.
Harvey Williams.
Very cautiously with both hands covering it.
Very smart to do that. It originally looked like it was supposed to go inside. He bounced it outside, and something I was a little impressed with at the end of that play, Rocket. Nice little block by Rocket. Tim Brown misses one, but Rocket gets one to sort of peel off some of the pursuit. But that's the danger of the Seattle defense. You talk about the quickness up front with Tez Kennedy and whatnot. Laterally is not the way you want to run against Seattle. You better go at them.
Second down and 7. The ball at the 45-yard line. Hostetler going deep, has his man, misses him, overthrown by just a step. And the Rocket, the intended receiver, and will step to New York for an update. Greg Gumbel.
All right, Charlie, at the Meadowlands, you might recall.
Denver, of course, they want to get back in the race in the West. Kansas City winning today with the 49ers. They're now 2-0. And the Jets, they're off to a pretty good start. They have very high hopes this year.
It doesn't take New York very long to get euphoric about the Jets. Even at 1-0, they're happy.
Sky high. 3rd and 7. And the pass is underthrown. So it'll be 4th down. Tim Brown, the intended receiver. Orlando Waters, the nickelback, and the cover.
I think that possession by the Raiders, though they didn't get down and get in scoring position, overall is a big plus. Jeff Hostetler, though he overthrew that pass, the seed has been planted. Now the Seattle defensive coaches have seen a Raider receiver get behind their defensive backs. They've got to pay attention
for the Raiders.
And the Raiders, as always, have outstanding speed at wide receiver. And they do like to go deep. Here's Kelvin Martin. He is the return man for the Seahawks. And Gossick, a line drive that is going to go out of bounds. He aimed it for the corner. It was ugly, but effective. Out at the 6. Good for 39 yards. We'll be back in a moment. Seahawks lead it 7-3. And here is Chris Warren out of the backfield from the 6-yard line of the Seahawks. We have 13 minutes and 50 seconds. That is the time remaining in the first half. Seattle out in front of the Raiders by a score of 7-3. The Seahawks a 52-yard opening touchdown drive on their first offensive possession in 7 plays. Chris Warren scoring from 4 yards out. The Raiders have countered with a 26-yard Jeff Jager field goal. That makes it 7-3. Play action fake from the end zone. All alone in the flat is Steve Smith, the former Raider, and he picks up the first down out of bounds at the 28-yard line. 22 yards on the play.
Great example of the chess game that defensive and offensive coordinators go through. First down, obviously, they're backed up. You're going to want to run a running play. You just knew something was coming as far as the play action fake. And the Raiders, as a defense, not to point any fingers at an individual, but as a defense, were very ill prepared for that.
And they spot the ball at the 29-yard line, where it is a first down. And the pitch to Warren, and he is dropped in his tracks. Derek Hoskins moving up from strong safety, and he was waiting for him. A loss of a couple.
And that's this is an example of how you break up a running play with a bunch of 300-pound linemen pulling out in front. You get penetration off the block by your strong safety. He just comes up, and he's unaccounted for really in the blocking scheme. If he can make that play can't be successful. It won't gain yards.
Second down and 12, a loss of 2, 27-yard line. Meyer to throw. Underneath the coverage. Maybe a yard, maybe not a yard. Farrell Edmonds with his second reception of the ball game, and Greg Beaker is the man who made the tackle.
You know, that play by Hoskins we saw back there, that is probably an example of the greatest asset and the greatest liability of the safeties of the Los Angeles Raiders. Both he and Anderson will come up and they will smack you. They will smack receivers over the middle. But they're guys that maybe get out of position. They're guys quarterbacks can fool. They're guys quarterbacks can get the bite on fakes. And that can really tell down the field.
3rd down and 11. Blades is the motion man. Flag is down, and the pass is overthrown far side. Michael Bates, the intended receiver, will check out the flag. And remember, it was 3rd down and 11. Offsides against the Raiders. Seahawks will get a reprieve. It'll be 3rd down and 6. As they say, it's not the penalty, it is when and where the penalty occurs. This is a very, or could be a very costly penalty for the Raiders.
Offside, defense number 48, lined up in the neutral zone, 5-yard penalty, repeat the down, 3rd down.
And that is Lionel Washington. So it's 3rd down and 6 rather than a kicking situation.
And this is the Raiders defense and a Raiders team that's always been heavily penalized, but they've always been able to recover from it. When they have the bad games and they have a bad time with an offense, is when they can't recover from their own mistakes defensively.
Seahawks lead in the ball game 7-3. We're in the 2nd quarter. Blitz coming, and it came too soon. McLaughlin, the tackle coming for the Raiders. They were showing blitz above him.
Offside, defense number 91, unabated path to the quarterback, 5-yard penalty, repeat the down, 3rd down.
Moment ago, 3rd and 11, now 3rd and 1.
That's flat out dumb when you take an offense from 3rd and 11 and searching through their playbook for somewhere to go, and all of a sudden now you got them at 3rd and 1. And now the advantage is clearly in the offense's camp right now with this offensive line and Chris Warren. With any kind of blocks, Chris Warren can get 1 yard.
Warren, the tailback. And he is the ball. He is not going to get the yard. Greg Beekert met him in the hole. Oh, he was waiting for it.
You know, that little freezer you just ran into, that's Jerry Ball. Jerry Ball stuffs into the backfield, spins off the block, and he and Beekert get in the backfield. I said with any kind of block, Warren could get a yard. He got no kind of block.
So Rick Tootin will be kicking. Tim Brown is the return man. So 3rd and 11, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 1, and now it's 4th down. And here's the kick, and another good one. He outkicks the coverage again. Brown back at the 7-yard line. Ball comes loose, a scramble for the football. A flag at the 45-yard line of the Raiders.
Got a flag down near the original line of scrimmage, or just passing the flag way in the back by where the receiver caught the ball.
Seattle apparently has recovered the fumble if it stands. So the officials have to sort out a couple of flags on the play. Meanwhile, they're checking the beanbag, which is just outside the 7-yard line on the far side, and that is where Tim Brown started his return.
If the Raiders do indeed lose this ball, it'll be unfortunate, because that was an example of overcoming a couple of bad penalties and stopping Seattle.
And here's the call.
We had multiple fouls against the receiving team. We had a post-possession hold, which is declined. We had an illegal block in the back on the return by the receiving team. That penalty is declined. 1st and 10, Seattle.
Seattle recovering the fumble of Tim Brown.
And these are the kind of mistakes the Redskins made against Seattle last week when Seattle put them away. And that's just a case of not putting the ball away by Tim Brown. You saw him slam his helmet down onto the bench. And he's a guy that's an all-pro, Pro Bowl type receiver. And there's no excuse, and he knows it. That's why he's mad.
So the Seahawks have a first down at the 19-yard line of the Raiders. Meyer completes the pass coming back to the near side.
To Kelvin Martin.
Kelvin Martin at the 11-yard line, so he picks up a quick 8. And it's going to be second down and 2 at the Raiders' 11. Meyer now 6 of 6 for 74 yards. Let me squeeze that one in.
Yeah, you saw the Raiders do a good job on that 3rd and 1, but I don't think this Raider defense is working cohesively enough together and is synchronized enough at this point to put up with a lot of stress like this.
Second down and 2. Here is Warren, shut off on the inside, dances a little to his left. He's going to lean to the 9, so he's going to get a couple of yards, and this will be near the first down marker. Eddie Anderson with the tackle.
Hit by Eddie Anderson.
And Jim Warren's thinking the same thing. I think everybody in black and silver is thinking right now, and that is get a field goal. Don't let him get in the end zone. Don't let this mistake end up in 7 points. Please let it be 3.
First down, goal to go, 9-yard line. 9.5 minutes. That is the time remaining first half. Seahawks up 7-3. Meyer on a quarterback draw. Flag is down. He keeps going another play. He works his way into the end zone for a touchdown if it holds, but there were a pair of flags dropped.
You're going to get a chop block in the backfield right there. Jerry Ball got taken down right by a block down by his knees.
An illegal chop block by number 42 on the offensive team. 15-yard penalty. Repeat the down. First down.
Now from the right side of the screen, check this out, what happens to Jerry Ball. He gets the penetration. Watch Warren, 42. He is engaged with Hitchcock. That's the key. If he's not engaged with the offensive lineman, Warren can cut him down. But as long as the lineman's got his hands on him, you cannot hit him low.
So with the penalty, the ball goes back to the 24-yard line. Tom Flores, the head coach of the Seahawks, looking on from the far side. He has been, of course, on both sidelines here, former head coach with the Raiders. And his first down goal to go at the 24. Meyer to throw, a little swing right side to Warren. And Warren is going to be dropped to the 25-yard line. Albert Lewis is the man who makes the tackle. Anytime you see Albert Lewis, there's a tendency to say, what do his socks look like? Because therein lies a story. And it could be a very costly story.
Well, for Albert Lewis it is. He basically budgets $35,000, $40,000 a year and says, look, my socks don't go all the way up to my pants. There's going to be skin showing. The league's going to find me. Put that money aside. I'm going to pay that every week because I'm not going to dress different.
It is a fashion statement, but a costly one.
Yeah.
All right, Meyer to throw. Back underneath the coverage. This is the tight end, Paul Green. Green with a couple of receptions last week. He is stopped by Moss and McDaniel. It's going to be third down and still goal to go.
Very nice job the last 2 downs by the Raiders defense. Earlier this quarter, you saw Seattle coming up in the backup area, run a little screen that the Raiders defense was not very well prepared for. Last 2 plays, good coverage downfield, and very good coverage underneath by the linebackers, denying that type of little flip and screen.
And here's the same situation the Raiders face. Do you go into the end zone to try for the touchdown, or do you pick up a few more yards to make the field goal attempt a little easier? Quarterback draw straight up the middle. It is Meyer from the shotgun, and he is just inside the 15-yard line where Anderson makes the tackle, and then we have the pushing and shoving and mark the time. 7:53. That is the time remaining in the first half. Bit surprised that it took this long.
And that's all started by the fact that Meyer took a pretty good shot as he was going to the ground, and Ray Roberts, his left tackle, said, you don't hit my quarterback like that. It's great that your offensive linemen feel that strongly about their quarterback. It's not great when a veteran loses his composure like that and does cost his team.
And the play, remember, had moved. Now they have the ball spotted at the 15-yard line. Now let's take another look at the shot that Meyer took.
Now here's a multi-million-dollar quarterback draw where Meyer does get down. He gets a shot. and nothing really unnecessary. But then here comes Roberts, 73 right there. That was well into the sequence. Roberts had already gotten his shot before he took one.
So the ball is at the 15. The conference is at the 10.
And we're definitely in the Coliseum.
Yes. No question. What was Rick Meyer's statement when you asked him about the difference between playing here when he was in the Coliseum when he was with Notre Dame and now in the pros?
I thought there was an ambiance and a feel. I'm looking for something like that. He goes, well, no, when I came with Notre Dame, there were a lot more people. There's, you know, there's 95, 100,000 people in here, and people are screaming and yelling, but they're very, very enthusiastic for football. He goes, the difference is there's not as many people for Raider games, and they're screaming a little different things out there.
And the conference continues.
I think you're going to get an ejection out of this, and you're also going to get a possibility of the dreaded offsetted penalties. Anytime you see a conference between the referees with one coach who runs across and wants to talk to the other coach, that means you now have a 44-man roster. Here's Meyer going down. Watch afterwards after he takes the shot. Little press on the head by Winston Moss. Little slap in the face.
Knee in the back.
And here comes Roberts.
Ray Roberts has been ejected.
There were a lot of people to blame on that play, but Ray Roberts was definitely the first one to get in there and take that initial shot on Winston Moss for the extracurricular activity on his quarter.
We have continuing action foul.
Ejected.
The down will count. We have unnecessary roughness on Seattle. Number 73, he has been ejected. We have unnecessary roughness against the Raiders. Number 91 and 56 both have been ejected. Fourth down.
Chester McLaughlin, Andre Bruce on a very thin defensive line for the Raiders. Now we go back to that. Scott Davis no longer with the ball club because of the altercation, the fight during practice this week, not with the ball club. They are very, very thin in that defensive line.
Well, how thin? They've got a converted tight end in John Duff, and they've got a guy that's a young guy, a rookie, Austin Robbins from North Carolina, a rookie. So, you know, Art Shell, I mean, what's going through this guy's mind right now? What have I got to do? Who am I going to play in my defensive line? There's Duff. I mean, Duff's the guy they think down the road can be a good pass rusher, but he's used to catching footballs, not quarterbacks.
So Ray Roberts ejected for the Seahawks, Andre Bruce and Chester McLaughlin. And a 33-yard field goal attempt now by John Casey out of the hold of Rick Tootin. And it is good from 33 yards away. And it all started with a fumble of Tim Brown.
Seattle Seahawks 10.
And by Compaq, makers of the Contura Aero Portable Computer. So light and portable, you'll never be tempted to leave it behind.
We're midway in the second quarter, and John Casey will kick off to either Harvey Williams or to the Rocket Ishmael. And it will be down in the end zone by Rocket. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line for the touchback. The score, Seahawks 10, Raiders 3. We'll be back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles in just a moment. And don't forget, next Sunday, Sequest will return to NBC with a spectacular 2-hour season premiere. A whole new Sequest, new cast members, new locations, wondrous discoveries. It all returns next Sunday at 9 Eastern Time here on NBC. Raiders now from their 20, Hostetler. Scrambles, throws it back underneath the coverage. This is James Jett, and he is going to pick up the first down. And now we have some pushing and shoving as it continues. And cooler heads finally prevail. You get to the point that you either side, you cannot afford to start losing a lot of players.
Well, you know, it's one of the easy boys. It's really not that important. I mean, Wisniewski went flying over a pile after the whistle, didn't hit anybody. It was basically sort of a show of enthusiasm and support for his wide receiver, and you know, that's when you start looking for a reason. You don't want to look for a reason. There's plenty of reasons. Here's a flying 290-pound guard. Doesn't make contact.
No.
You know, Stevens thinks he might have hurt him if he had made contact.
And he probably would have. Hostetler, quick drop, quick pass outside. It's the Rocket. And he has the first down at the 45-yard line. So suddenly back-to-back first downs for the Raiders. Now the 3 ejections not involved in this set, but if Seattle goes on offense, they will be without their starting left tackle, and the Raiders will be without 2 of their defensive linemen. Who comes out ahead in that exchange?
Well, I think really Seattle's at a disadvantage initially, because if Tom Flores is going to do it right, he's going to roll away from that new guy for a while until he shows he can block.
All right, Hostetler to throw. Holds in the pocket. He goes deep, has a man, overthrows it. He hung it up just a bit, and James Jett, who has that great speed, simply could not get there. He is a gold medalist in the 4x100 in Barcelona Olympics.
If James Jett can't run underneath it, you overthrew him.
That's right. And he got behind Patrick Hunter.
And if you overthrow James Jett, you might be able to overthrow most relay teams.
That's right.
And Jeff knows, you know, that was a touchdown. He could have had that. You know, this is the big part of the Raiders' offense, is getting deep and getting the bomb. But the 2 most important receivers in the way they're throwing the ball short are Ishmael, the Rocket, and Tim Brown. And right now, Tim Brown has spent the better part of this series on the sideline.
And here is the reverse to the Rocket. And the Seahawks, when you look at this in wide shot, look at the white jerseys. They have been anticipating that reverse. I mean, soon as he started, about 6 defenders started to go to their left.
The only thing that was missing is a couple of the defenders for Seattle just standing up and pointing. They're going over there. They're going over there.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to get a couple.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 coming in late.
And last year, and at Notre Dame. 3rd down and 8. And we have flags. Play still underway. Hostetler throws it away. We'll come back and check out the flag. It was 3rd down and 8 with the ball at the 47-yard line. 5 minutes and 11 seconds. That is the time remaining in the first half. The penalty will go against the Seahawks. So it's going to be 3rd down and 3.
Offsides. Defense, number 87. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. 3rd down.
And now the defense of the Seahawks in the same situation that the Raiders were. Remember?
That's
3rd
right.
and 11, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 1. Then they held.
And this puts the Raiders and Jeff Hostetler in a position where they can run things like that little settling pass to the tight end right over the ball for a 3 or 4 yard gain for a first down. A little hitch to a wide receiver.
3rd down and 3. Hostetler pressure right up the middle, and he throws it up for grabs. And it is almost intercepted, and should have been intercepted by Carlton Gray. It'll be 4th down and 3.
And Jeff Hostetler took one of those, oh my aching rib shots.
Yes. And here is the almost interception.
Guys, you are teammates.
That's
When
right.
do you catch the ball?
Blackman and Gray were both
And watch
there.
this.
Ooh.
Look at that shot. Stevens right in the chest, and just to be sure, Sinclair knocks him to the ground.
4th down and 3, and Gossett to kick. Kelvin Martin is the return man at the 8-yard line. And he goes for the corner, and he doesn't get it. It will go to the back edge of the end zone for the touchback. We'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. We'll step aside. We'll be back in a moment. Here's the Raiders defense. Remember, Andre Bruce and Chester McLaughlin, defensive linemen, have been ejected from the ballgame.
Exactly. And now they're going to have to go with the rookie Robbins in there, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. If you've got a guy like that you know hasn't played much, and you're a power running team, that's where you power run.
First down, Seattle. And here is Chris Warren. And he has about 3. It'll be second down and 7. And the other part of the equation, of course, is the left tackle of the Seattle Seahawks, and that is Mike Kime. He is in his 3rd year, played his collegiate ball at BYU, spent his entire career with the New Orleans Saints before joining the Seahawks. Active for 16 games last year, and he saw action on special teams in only 3 games. So not a lot of experience there with the Seahawks. Myers goes deep, tipped, and incomplete. Martin, the intended receiver, Terry McDaniel, went up and tipped the ball. It'll be 3rd down and long.
And you got to say, the Raiders are hanging in there. The Raiders have made some mistakes. They've made some dumb mistakes. But defensively, they haven't let the mistakes really sort of overwhelm them. They're still playing good team defense right now. And I'm pretty impressed with the job that the linebackers and defensive backs are doing, because they're not exactly getting all over Rick Mirer.
Meyer 8 of 10 for 74 yards. And it's 3rd down and 7. From the shotgun, with Green and Warren back with him. A little bit of a low snap and the blitz, and he is sacked, and a flag dropped to the 25-yard line, and another flag at the 10-yard line, and Myers down.
That is going to be a flagrant foul right there, the way he was slammed to the turf. That was completely unnecessary. That's when you get hit so hard your eyes hurt. You saw him blinking his eye like, I mean, it hurts to the back of your head.
Against the offense, that penalty is declined. We have unnecessary roughness. Late hit by number 74, a 15-yard penalty. By rule, the 15-yard penalty is accepted. The 5-yard penalty is declined. First down.
And here it is right there. Wow. Well, and that's the 5-15 rule. You get the penalties involved. 5 goes away and the 15 gets tacked on. I wouldn't complain too much if I was Harris.
No. You know, it's one thing that you played this game for more than a decade. It's one thing to play hard. I just don't understand this. I just do not think that that is a part of professional football.
Yeah.
Or football at any level.
Enthusiasm is one thing. Getting there for a sack is another thing. And sort of the extracurricular part of that of slamming him down and jamming your hand up under his face mask. I mean, there's flags down. There's obviously been whistles blown because the time has been expired on the play clock, and you don't need to do that.
No, and you're trying to hurt a player, and that's not the object of the game. So the ball spotted just shy of the 39-yard line. And remember, it was 3rd and 7. Seahawks retain possession. They have a first down. And the Seahawks have the lead 10-3. Also, from a Raiders standpoint, if they lose Harrison, they are really thin.
Very important for Seattle to keep their composure. They don't want to get into a fight with the Raiders. That's their disadvantage.
And here is Meyer to throw. To the sideline, Warren has it, and out of bounds. No, he said he did not have the catch in bounds. So it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Albert Lewis on the coverage.
Just watch the feet. That's an easy one. That second one out by a foot. The foot out by a foot. But from the positive standpoint, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, no one got near Rick Mirer. And no one needs to get near Rick Mirer for a while after that hit he took, because I'm sure there's still a little fog there. A lot of fog in Seattle from time to time, and a lot of fog between his ears probably right now.
2nd down and 10. And the officials stop the play.
You see that motion? You want to put some time back on that clock.
4:07.
That has got a cricket.
But it shows. One of that aerobic exercise. Loosen up the shoulder.
Final scores. Miami the Dolphins 24. Green Bay Packers 14. Pittsburgh Steelers 17.
So we're set to go now 2nd and 10. The Raiders now 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. They go to a 3-4 set. throwing out of the pocket. It is caught, first down. Kelvin Martin with tight coverage by Terry McDaniel. And a good pass. And remember, he's got to be still a little woozy.
Exactly. And one thing to remember, you pointed out the 3 linemen and the 1 linebacker, and that linebacker being Aaron Wallace, number 51. The Raiders like to use Aaron Wallace as a nickel rusher, so he's sort of a tweener for them when they're getting short like this on their line.
50-yard line, first down. Kelvin Martin, his 3rd reception, and he has a total of 32 yards to his credit. Seahawks lead by 7, 10-3. And here is Warren, and he is wrapped up immediately by Aaron Wallace. Wallace was simply waiting for him in the wings, and it was a quick exit.
That's when you sort of take the guy to the sideline, get the air pump out, and pump him up and say, hey, you're now a defensive end, play like one. And he wasn't playing like a defensive end, he was playing like a linebacker. Got away from Green, the tight end, just sort of like did a Nolan Ryan, no-hit him, and he got in the backfield.
And they'll move the ball back to the 48-yard line. And it's 2nd down and 12. 4-man rush. Meyer throws. Pass is complete. 40-yard line. Now he caught it right at the 40. They're going to give him the spot, which is going to be the 41-yard line. It is Martin who has it. And Terry McDaniel immediately ran him back for 3 or 4 yards with the mark at the 41.
A gentle breeze will clear fog, and good protection clears the fog out of a quarterback's head. No one gets near Rick Meyer.
And this time, those that are near Rick Meyer are wearing the silver and black. Jerry Ball and Rob Fredrickson.
The only one that play might have fooled was Rick Meyer when they called it in on his headset. One of those, you want me to what?
Yeah, I would think I would say, I don't hear. Signal it from the sideline. I'm not. And then when they signal from the sideline, I'd wave it off. I still don't hear that.
Well, Tom Flores and his offensive coordinator, Larry Cannon, are just taking a chance there of saying the Raiders are coming after the running back. The Raiders are coming after the quarterback. Let's take a shot at maybe an opening in the defensive line. And you got to say Jerry Ball and the young guy Robbins inside did a nice job just jamming everything up.
Seattle is taking a countdown, and they're taking the countdown to the 2-minute warning. We have it. We will step aside. We'll be back in a moment. Seahawks lead it 10-3. 2 minutes, time remaining.
Exactly, and this is a situation you're going to have Tim Brown deep. They're going to kick this ball to Tim Brown, and you have got to get both hands on the ball. The Raiders are sort of lost in space right now at this point. You can't put your finger on exactly, who are the Raiders? What are the Raiders? If you're going to say, use a fighting analogy, right now Seattle's kind of like a professional boxer. They're playing all right. The Raiders are playing like they're in the tough guy competition. And as tough as you want to be, that is not the same sport.
There was a delay of game tacked on right at the 2-minute warning. And so a loss of 5, and Rick Tootin will be kicking. And Tim Brown, who fumbled the ball that was recovered by Raphael Robinson. This one is straight up and straight down. He does not outkick his coverage this time, and it won't go out of bounds. So the Raiders, with now a minute 51 left to go, have pretty good field position to start a drive.
Yeah, I mean, Tootin didn't outkick his center.
No, 19 yards. Coverage. It was intercepted on the snap.
And a great opportunity now for Haas to get in here and use his passing game that the Raiders have really highlighted in this first half, and that's the short stuff, and they've had the long stuff open. Al Davis has seen a couple examples of his vertical style of offense be available, be open, and be overthrown so far.
So the Raiders start from their own 27-yard line. Hostetler, lots of time, drops it off far side, incomplete. Harvey Williams, the intended receiver, and now we have some more pushing and shoving. And like you said, if the Seattle Seahawks get into this kind of a contest with the Raiders, they are at a disadvantage because the Raiders feed on this type of football.
They really do. Part of the mystique and the persona of doing this is kind of distract people, and you want to get the extra shots in. Hostetler is grabbed by Tez Kennedy, and compare that to the thing Harrison did to Rick Meyer. He was basically laying Hostetler on the ground there.
And Wisniewski was right there for the Raiders. It'll be 2nd down and 10. And we have whistles and flags. The score, Seattle 10 and the Raiders 3. You have kind of an eerie feeling of the first half of that the Seahawks should be on top of the ball game, a delay against Los Angeles.
But 5 yards, still second down.
The margin should be more than 7 points. The Raiders here, a couple of big plays. Boom, you're tied at halftime.
For all the negatives that Art Shell's Raiders have had in this first half, they're very much in this game.
Yes.
You go into the half here just with the anticipation and the feeling that something is going to happen in the second half. Big plays. They've had too many opportunities to keep missing them.
Second down and 15. Pressure for the backside, rolls away. He's to the 30, and he dives across the 35 to the 36-yard line. He is about a yard shy of the first down. And Hostetler will call for a timeout. Robinson, the man who recovered the fumble of Tim Brown, is the man who made the tackle. And we have a minute 32. That is the time remaining in the first half. And the Raiders still have 2 timeouts remaining.
And we talk about the mentality that Jeff Hostetler brings to football of, kind of being fit into a lineman or a linebacker. He gets a shot to the head. Watch what happens when he starts to get up. There you go. But he's smart. He's picking on a little guy. That's not Tez or anybody like that. That's not Cortez Kennedy. He's going after a defensive back.
So he scrambles for 14. It'll be 3rd down and 1. And the ball just outside the 36-yard line. And we look for the big play offense of the Raiders, and we've seen it almost happen, but we really haven't seen it happen yet.
Well, it's there. They're going to come back to it in the second half. They're going to hit some big plays. And I think the most telling part of this half we have ahead of us is going to be the composure of the Seattle Seahawks. Not getting caught up in this contest with the Raiders to the point where they're going to allow those big plays.
What better man to address that at halftime than Tom Flores, former head coach of the Raiders, and now, of course, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Raiders rushing total in the first half. We talked about the fact they do not have a running game. That's no big secret. Everybody has talked about that since they played the 49ers on Monday night. They have rushed for 47 yards in the first half, but 27 of the 47 have been by the quarterback, Hostetler, and the rest of the team has rushed for 20 yards in the first half.
And I'll tell you one thing right now. If Jeff Hostetler doesn't overthrow those 2 long passes where he had guys open, that rushing yardage doesn't mean a thing. Doesn't mean a thing. Doesn't mean it's 17-10 Raiders, and you're saying they can win without a running game.
That's right. The only numbers that count on the scoreboard. All right, 1:32. That is the time remaining here in the second quarter. Seahawks again leading by 7. And it's 3rd down, less than a yard.
The Raiders are about 25 to 30 yards from reasonable Jaeger field goal range.
And the quarterback sneak, and that should pick it up. And it is a 1st down. The Raiders now in their hurry-up offense, calling 2 or 3 plays in the huddle. Of course, the quarterback sneak followed by this play. Hostetler forward in the pocket, wanted to go deep, comes back underneath the coverage. Tim Brown, it'll be incomplete. Tim Brown almost had possession, and then Carlton Gray was there for the Seattle Seahawks, and it goes as an incomplete pass. And it'll be 2nd down.
I'm really surprised there when they got that. We're going for that 1st down with 2 timeouts left. They let that much time run off the clock and wasted it. I mean, they had the timeouts. Why not take a timeout and give yourself more shots?
1:05. Time remaining, second quarter. Hostetler again, good protection, pass far side. It is not a 1st down. And the Raiders now will take their 2nd timeout. 59 seconds time remaining.
Pretty basic philosophy. If you want a 1st down, you run past the sticks before you worry about coming back the ball. That was short from the get-go.
And once again, they face a 3rd down and 1.
In a dangerous spot. to have the Los Angeles Raiders. I think we talk about the speed, we talk about their explosiveness. They've got the ability to get this first down the old-fashioned way with either a run, I think, or a little pass. But if you're a defensive coordinator, if you're Rusty Tillman of the Seattle Seahawks, you can't forget about taking that big shot down the field.
Now defensively, the last time they faced the 3rd and 1, there's Rusty on the far side. He had the quarterback sneak. This is a full yard. The other was less than a yard. Is that still a possibility here?
I really don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to surprise anybody. And the one person you worry about surprising the most in this situation against Seattle is Cortez Kennedy, and you only surprise him once.
Hostetler to throw. Pressure from the backside. Tim Brown has the first down, 45-yard line. Seahawk territory. And the hurry-up offense, they do not stop the clock.
They have 8 yards and a first down at the 45.
43 and counting.
Now 15 yards to that field goal range.
Has pressure, far side, and the catch. Does he have it? Yes, he does. And it's the Rocket Ismail on the sideline, diving out of bounds, keeping both feet inbound. Stopping the clock, 33-yard line.
Great job of concentration.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that drag. Little tap dance there on the sideline. Right now, the tips of Ishmael's shoes are green. They got those grass stains on them where he drug them on the sideline. What a great situation for Hostetler. 32 seconds, a timeout. He's in the field goal range. If he doesn't lose yards, now he can take his shots down in the end zone.
Hostetler again to throw. Again has the protection. End zone. Incomplete. The Rocket, the intended receiver, Carlton Gray, goes out for the Seahawks. Eugene Robinson there with him. And it'll be second down.
Haas will probably be the first one to tell you he wasn't real happy with the way that pass kind of floated out there into the end zone. Stayed up there and stayed up there. I mean, most passes or balloons like that have weather equipment at the bottom of them.
When you look back at the last 2 minutes of the ballgame, for the Raiders, it could have been the reception of the Rocket on the far sideline that gives them the spark that they need. They need a spark from a play or from a player.
The Raiders look focused.
Hostetler throws just as he is hit. And does he get it? Yes, 20-yard line. Tim Brown, Antonio Edwards nailing Hostetler. And Edwards shaken up on the play.
You know you got a tough quarterback when the defensive lineman hits him and gets up slow. Watch the contact. Here comes Edwards. Oh, with Sinclair got kind of a double dip shot. Watch the shot Sinclair gets on Edwards and Hostetler. There you go.
First down, 20-yard line. 18 seconds left. First down.
One of the Notre Dame receivers here, Charlie.
Hostetler goes incomplete. The Rocket, the intended receiver, and Hostetler takes a beating.
Hey, remember, McCrary hit him on that time. This is a quarterback in Hostetler. He's tough. He runs. He's a leader. He was sacked 50 times last year. That's way too many times for even a tough quarterback. And right now, between last week where he was sacked 5 times and this week where he's not being sacked much, but he's getting beat on a lot.
And that's a legitimate hit because the defender has 1 step from the release of the football by the quarterback.
And anytime you're getting hit, if it's you getting hit, it's legitimate.
He throws it away. He looks everywhere. He did not have a man open. Check of the clock. 8 seconds. That is the time. And it is third down.
It's third down, and Art Shell's not going to take a chance of, maybe getting a scrambling, a look, and an incompletion and having time expire. He's going to go ahead and kick this.
And or you have the safety valve of a bad snap, because it's third down, so you could have a second opportunity in case you needed it. A 38-yard field goal attempt. Jaeger is hit from 26.
It's a very solid part of the Raiders' special teams. Dan Turk is the snapper. The holder is Gossett.
And here is the kick. And it is no good. It is wide left from 38 yards away. And 4 seconds left in the half.
I mentioned the 2 solid parts of the kicking game.
Yes.
I didn't add Jaeger, so I guess he's the shaky part, at least on that one. Now, we've talked about sort of the gamesmanship going on here, and don't get involved in it from Seattle's standpoint. Jaeger misses it, and just to sort of rub it in, here you got Williams there, gives the kicker a little shot, and then the old, who, me? Who, what?
So Seattle takes over on their own 28-yard line. They'll just kneel down here to take the countdown. And that will officially take us to halftime with the scores: Seattle 10 and the Raiders 3. Here in Los Angeles, we'll be back with Greg Gumbel, Domino Pizza's NFL Live halftime report, right after we have these words from your local station. At halftime, Seattle leading the Raiders by a score of 10-3. I'm Charlie Jones along with Randy Cross. What do you look forward to? What do you expect in the second half of this ballgame?
I expect the same things you've seen out of Seattle, a fairly conservative passing game. They're going to try to run the ball, which actually the Raiders at the end of the first half managed to stuff them up pretty good with Chris Warren not being able to get many yards. But I look for big plays from the Raiders. The Seahawks are making a mistake letting the Raiders hang in this log. And if you look at the halftime stats, you know, the Raiders are right in this ball game, and don't make a mistake to say that they're not.
The Coors Light halftime stats. And we'll be set to go with the second half. Those numbers they're very close, aren't they, when you look at them?
Oh, they really are. I mean, Rick Meyer has done a nice job, but you have to take your hat off at this point to Art Shell and the job that he and the staff have done to sort of hold everything above water. Because they had every excuse to lay down, and actually the Seahawks played a team last week that started out good in the Redskins, and then when things started going bad, they kind of laid down and went away. And the Raiders don't have that in them, and a lot of it is due to the fact of the leadership they get from that guy right there, Art Shell.
Seahawks 10, Raiders 3, as we start the second half. And Seattle will have the first opportunity on offense. Michael Bates, number 81, and John Vaughn, number 22. They are the deep backs on the return. And Jeff Jaeger is going to kick it away, and now he's going to bring the ball over to the sideline for a moment.
See, you've seen a lot of orange tees and the old kicking tees. They used to flip upside down and kick off the bottom, and they made that illegal, and it's now a 1-inch tee. Check this thing out. And when you originally see that, you'd say, I'll bet money that can't stay on that thing. It looks like a thick horseshoe.
It does. And it's 1 inch high. It's a 1-inch tee. Of course, in the past, as most as you know, it was a 3-inch tee. By moving the kickoff back to the 30 and lowering the tee, you have better returns and better field position to start drives. This one is taken by John Vaughn. And Seattle is going to set up shop just across the 30-yard line. We got a flag.
Got a flag there at the end, and he was not brought down by a Raider. He ran into the back of a pile of his own guys, got up and kept going, and half the people on this last kickoff started running off the field.
And we would like to apologize for any disruption that you have of your audio and video quality of this telecast. We are working on it. Dick Hantak, the official crew, they've had their hands full in this ballgame, haven't they?
Offsetting fouls, personal foul. Number 37 on Seattle, number 22 on the Raiders. Penalties are offset. First down.
22 is Harvey Williams. Did he say 37?
And that's a good, consistent, conservative half for Rick Meyer. But the telling point for both quarterbacks has been the hits and the contact they've sort of been subjected to.
I have a surprise. Seattle doesn't have a 37. Here's Meyer to throw over the middle. And it is incomplete. They do now. They do now. Steve Smith, the fullback, the intended receiver. The pass was behind him. So it'll be second down and 10 at the 31-yard line. A pretty good crowd on hand. A sun-dressed day in Southern California. The temperature has to reach into the 90s here. This could be a very warm football field for a grass field. And you say that because the artificial surface stadiums, of course, as most of you know, really do hold the heat well. And here's the give to Warren. We have a flag down. Warren to about the 38-yard line. But it looked as if one of the Raider linemen had stepped into the neutral zone. Perhaps it was Harrison.
Indicated against the Raiders.
Offside. Defense, number 74, 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. Second down.
And speaking of penalties.
And the beat goes on. Not something unusual to see in an LA Raiders game is lots of penalties. They in Houston the most penalized teams in the NFL. But you know, right at this point, if I'm Seattle, I'm their offensive coordinator, Larry Kennan. I want to reestablish that running game I opened this game with. I mean, remember we talked about them bashing the Raiders on the nose. They haven't bashed them very much lately.
Second down and 5. And here is Warren to the outside. And the Raiders defense simply strings him out. That's a perfect example. As he could not get around the corner, he runs out of real estate, and suddenly he's out of bounds.
And that speaks to the job that's being done up front by everybody involved, or maybe with the situation of the defensive line, we say everybody that's left, because not a lot of guys left with the ejections. You saw Stevens, 94, take away the outside and cause them to bounce. And nice job by Winston Moss, just sort of shadowed Warren all the way.
Chris Warren, 100 yards against the Redskins last week. His last 8 carries in this ball game, 0 yards rushing. Meyer throws pass complete. It's going to be a first down as he hits Kelvin Martin, and he is dropped by Lionel Washington. They'll mark it at the 44-yard line.
9-yard gain.
That's Larry Kennan, the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Something you're seeing now with all these young quarterbacks in the league is more and more, you're not going up to the box to get a picture of the offensive coordinator. They're down on the sidelines so they can have that hands-on experience with their young quarterbacks when they leave the field.
First down, play action fake to Warren. He goes deep. Pass was underthrown, and then Juggle, Terrence Warren, the intended receiver. Terry McDaniel stayed right with him, but the pass was underthrown.
Well, Warren had a chance there to do one of those Ahmad Rashad balls bouncing, you're running backwards and still catch the ball there.
And right at the end, he has to hold up.
And who concentrates the most is that key. Daniel McDaniel didn't quite get it. But you might say Meyer sort of got it. Took a little hit from Robbins and Harrison.
And that's a smart hit because they hit him and kind of stayed off away from him. Didn't try and drill him in the ground as we saw earlier. And here is Warren as he cuts back, and he is going to pick up the first down. He's going to add 12 yards to his total. It's been kind of a skimpy rushing total. Derek Hoskins makes the tackle.
The thing to watch here is try to find the hole and watch how fast Warren hits it once he decides where it is. He says, there it is there, bam, there he goes.
This is his 13th carry and a total of 32 yards rushing.
Like we said, if we're the Seahawks people, that gets up to about 26 carries by the end of this game.
And a first down. And he's going to lose yardage. He's going to knock about 3 off of his total.
There's John Duff, the former tight end for the Raiders. You know, they were pretty pumped on him at this training camp. We saw him over in Barcelona, and Art Shell and Al Davis both said, you know, watch this guy. He can go after the passer. And there's a little example of maybe he's learned how to defend and run a little bit, too.
Second down and 12.
Young man's probably a prime candidate, though, as an inexperienced defensive lineman, if you have a moving line at all to try to trap him or kick him out with a fullback.
Meyer scrambles out of the pocket. Little pump fake. He does a slide at the end, but it was all right, I think, for the Raiders to cover him on the slide because he waited the last moment before he's going down.
See him talking to Anthony Smith there. And that's one thing over the last 4 meetings or so that Anthony Smith has usually had a lot of opportunities to talk to Seattle quarterbacks. He spent the majority of those last 4 games in the Seattle backfield and has been basically not heard of so far today.
They're down in 6. The ball at the 40-yard line of the Raiders. 11.5 minutes. That is the time remaining third quarter. The stats in today's ball game for Rick Meyer. Seahawks lead by 7, 10-3. Meyer throws. It is tipped. Good defensive play. Michael Bates, the intended receiver, but Terry McDaniel timed the pass perfectly.
And he had a little help timing the pass perfectly, because Meyer takes the snap and never leaves his receiver. There's no, let's look off the safety, let's not worry about it. He has just got the old laser beams boring in on his guy the entire way.
So Rick Tootin will be kicking. And Tim Brown at the 10-yard line. Tim, the return man. And he pops it up. And it's going to be down in the end zone for a touchback. Tim kind of faked everybody out. He didn't signal for the fair catch, and he just kind of waited there for a moment. We'll step aside. We'll be back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles.
Industry. Clean, economical, natural gas. Think of what you'll save. And by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste.
Welcome back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles. We have 11:09. That is the time remaining here in the third quarter. And Seattle continues to lead by 7 over the Raiders. The Raiders' first opportunity on offense in the second half. And they'll start from their 20-yard line. And they start on the ground. And there's nothing there. Harvey Williams. He's going to pick up a couple of yards, maybe 3, and that's going to be it. And so the Raiders now have shown their run in the second half, and we expect them to go right back to the air. This was the modus operandi in the first half.
I guess you gotta try it and see if maybe it can work.
Magically, it appears in the second half.
Let's run it up inside. What? No, it's still not there.
Okay.
Back to the air.
Back to the air. And it is back to the air. May have been intercepted off of the tip, and it is Terry Wooden. Wooden with his second interception of the season. Remember last week against the Redskins, he went 69 yards for the touchdown, and as he went down the sideline, they were all saying, "Go Forrest, go Forrest, go Forrest."
Well, I tell you, he spent, took him 4 years to get 1 interception. Right now, it's taken him 2 weeks to get 2. That was a garbage interception there because that ball should have been caught.
And so the Seahawks take over on the 30-yard line of the Raiders' first down. Seattle up by 7. Second turnover of the ball game. And here is Warren. And he is going to go to around the 26-yard line. So he's going to pick up about 4 on the play. And we'll mark it second down and 6.
I think you're going to see some ugly but effective offense out of the Seattle Seahawks here. There's not going to be much messing around. They're going to want to pound this ball right here and use very safe passing if they use it at all.
We're at the 10-minute mark in the third quarter. And a fake to Warren. And the pass to the 21-yard line is complete. And this time it's Brian Blades. And Beckert makes the tackle. The ball just outside the 20.
A little while ago, Charlie, we saw the game stats of Rick Meyer, his passing and his rushing. And they're not really that impressive. You know, he's passed for 100 and something yards. He's rushed for, you know, a dozen or 2 yards, something like that. But, you know, this is the kind of offense and the kind of team that can pass for 200 yards and kill you.
The ball carrier is the former fullback for the Raiders, now the fullback for the Seahawks, Steve Smith. And he is going to pick up the first down before Hoskins makes the tackle. And he has about 5 yards on the play.
And this is a drive and a scoring opportunity for the Seattle Seahawks where they can they can give themselves a little breathing room. They can put a little space between them and the Raiders, make the Raiders have to start taking more and more chances. Tom Flores has seen his defense almost give up some big plays. He needs some point room.
And a fake on first down, and Meyer is going to be sacked. He was looking into the end zone, and he saw double coverage. And when he looked back, guess what? He saw Anthony Smith.
Well, Anthony Smith has had 4 sacks a game against the Seattle Seahawks. 3 of the last 4 times these teams have played. Finally gets back there. This is an example of Meyer looking first receiver, second receiver, third receiver, Anthony.
So it'll be second down and 16.
And when you get it, enjoy it, have fun, and point it out to your teammates.
A little screen right side to Chris Warren. And Warren just continues to move inside the 10. He's going to be about a yard shy of the first down, but he's going to pick up almost 15 yards on the play.
But it's very well set up screenplay right there for the Seattle Seahawks. Watch, hit, bang, let the guys go. The perfect way to do it, set it up, and then it's smooth. I like that, smooth.
Yeah, smooth. Third down and 2 at the 9-yard line. Warren, the remaining back. Blades is in the slot left. And we have jumping by the tight end, Paul Green.
False start. Offense number 87 simulating the start of a play. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
And that's something I've been through before, Charlie. You've got a pass play called. You're in the red zone. Your formation says pass, you're in single back, and the quarterback goes to a running play. And when he goes to the running play, people are kind of scrunching their stances up, getting ready to run that play. There's anticipation there wasn't there for the pass, and guys jump offside.
Third down and 7. Incomplete. Flag down.
False start. Offense number 78. Prior to the snap. Repeat the down. Third down.
And right now you got to think Tom Flores wouldn't mind having Ray Roberts back as regular left tackle. Kime jumps off sides, and you know, it's concentration. He's in the Coliseum, and it's an example of a young guy just getting a little too excited and leaving 5 yards too early.
Third and 12. Blades pulls it in, and let's see where they spot it. It will be close to the first down, but maybe a yard shy.
Yeah, he's going to be 2-3 feet short. Ball's going to be marked on about the 7.5-yard line, I think.
And there's a player down. Albert Lewis is down. Another Raider is down, but he may be just pinned under Albert. So we have an injury timeout. We'll step aside. We'll be back to the Coliseum in a moment.
And they're bringing the card out for Albert Lewis. It was a play where it wasn't so much a hit that he tried to deliver. Watch the inside slot receiver there, and the hit is going to come from his teammate Eddie Anderson, 33. As he closes on the ball, Eddie Anderson closes from the left. Ouch. You know, so often when you're a defender, and as many times as I hear it from guys that play defense, they worry a lot less about the guys on offense hitting them, and in a lot of cases they worry about the guys on their own defense getting them.
Kind of look around and check, you know, where is everybody? And naturally taking all of of the time necessary to make sure that all of the proper procedures are followed.
Well, Al Davis spent a lot of money on Albert Lewis, bringing him here from the Kansas City Chiefs. And, you know, Art Shell has had this guy as a nickel back right now. He hasn't quite got into the starting role, but he is a quality defensive back.
11 years with Kansas City, and in his original draft, he thought he was going to be drafted by the Raiders, and he was looking forward to being drafted by the Raiders, and then Kansas City drafted him a couple of players right in front. In fact, he was on the phone at the time with the Raiders when Kansas City drafted him.
Yeah, actually, Willie Brown.
Yes, he was on the phone.
The Hall of Fame defensive back was on the phone with him and said, "We're going to pick you."
Yeah.
That's a great sign.
Yes. And Albert said, "Sam, you know, that you always wonder what would have happened if." He said, "Now I got a chance to find out what if is."
Could you imagine him and Michael Haynes?
Ooh.
I mean, Haynes and Tatum and Lewis, and I've been scared.
Yes. And that's the best sign of all. And we'll try and get a report on Albert Lewis. And of course, as soon as we do, we will pass that on to you. And speaking of Michael Haynes,
working the local radio here in Los Angeles, I tell you, I don't know if I was ever around. I played in an all-star game with Michael when we were both seniors in college at the Hula Bowl. I have never seen an athlete like this guy, big, physical, and he could run as fast in the back pedal as most guys could forward.
All right, it's going to be 4th down and 1. And the Seahawks, leading by 7-10-3, are going to go for it.
I like this decision. They've got a Raider team that has sort of been taking it to them lately. End of the half, and here they got a chance to really make a statement.
Blades comes across in motion. The give is to Steve Smith, and he spins his way to the 5-yard line. It'll be 1st down and goal to go.
A good aggressive call by both teams. Larry Cannon, the offensive coordinator, says we're going to slam it at you. And on defense, the Raiders are blitzing. Greg Beekert, the second-year linebacker, 54, just got there a little late. Almost took that handoff in the backfield.
So the ball at the 5, 1st down, goal to go. The fullback is Steve Smith. Chris Warren is the tailback. As Blades comes across in motion. A little bobble on the snap, and the throw all alone in the end zone. Ryan Blades. And the Seahawks score their 2nd touchdown of the ballgame.
You know the most often heard term right now on the Raiders sideline as the defense goes there?
Yours.
That was my guy. And he came completely clean. I mean, this is obviously a bite on a play-action fake. It looks like a run up front. You get guys pulling, and suddenly it's dropped. Hoskins is running towards the quarterback, turns around, runs back towards the wide receiver, but they got awfully lonely in that end zone for Blades.
(16-3) the score. The extra point is good. And the Seattle Seahawks move on top of the Raiders 17-3, 30 yards on the drive following the turnover. It's Miami, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, the Raiders, Denver, and San Diego, Seattle. All good ball games next week.
It's all AFC West in those late afternoon games, and I really think it's going to take 12 games to win this division this year.
Well, Kansas City is off to a good start. They beat the 49ers early today by a score of 24-17, so their record is 2-0. The Raiders still looking for their first win. And here's Rocket Ismail on the return. And he high steps it near the 30-yard line. The Seattle Seahawks leading in this ballgame, trying to make their record 2-0. Michael Bates with the tackle, and there is Terry Wooden. His interception set up the last touchdown. .538 left in the third, and the Seahawks leading the Raiders 17-3. Points off of turnovers as follows.
You know, as set up by last week's game, Seattle took advantage of turnovers last week with Washington, taking advantage of the turnovers today. And that last turnover puts the Raiders in a position where they have to move the ball down the field with their passing game.
Hostetler back to throw. He goes deep down the field, has a man, juggled, incomplete. It was there. It was there for Alexander Wright, and he couldn't hold on.
He should have had it the first time. You don't get more than one shot in this league because those defensive backs aren't near you. That makes 3. That is now 3 long passes. You got 2 overthrows and a drop. I mean, it is there. They've got to keep going there. I say they're down by 2 touchdowns, so that's where they got to keep going. But I'll tell you, Fred Bolitnikoff, the receiver coach, everybody has to know they can get it downtown.
And this time he comes back over the middle to the tight end Glover. He'll pick up the first down. As expected, Albert Lewis will not be returning to the ballgame. They have taken him in for x-rays, and we do not have a report on that as yet. But as we receive it or as the information comes in, we will pass it on to you. Ball at the 43-yard line of the Raiders, first down. Trailing 17-3. Seattle with the victory today, they would be 2-0, just as Kansas City is now 2-0, and San Diego leading their ball game, they could be 2-0. Underneath the coverage, Tim Brown. Can they afford to stay underneath the coverage? Don't they have to go long?
I think they can afford to do it in spots, but they're going to get back into this game going downtown. And what they've done is today they've tested Patrick Hunter. Last week it was Carlton Gray that got the big test against the Skins. We haven't seen him try Gray at all. I would look for that to happen.
Rushing yardage for the Raiders, just as a sidebar, they have 52 yards rushing as a team, 29 of those by their quarterback, Jeff Hostetler.
He needs bigger pads.
We may not see another rush of the ballgame by the Raiders. First down, and it is a little behind the intended receiver, who is Harvey Williams. Robert Blackman had the coverage. 4 minutes and 6 seconds. That is the time remaining in the third quarter. The Seahawks went on top, a 52-yard touchdown drive in the first quarter. They went on top 7-3. The Raiders came back with a field goal. Jaeger from 26 yards out, 2:04 to go in the first. That made it 7-3. John Casey then a field goal for Seattle, almost the midway point in the second period, 10-3. Jaeger missed from 38 yards out. Meyer to Blades from 5 yards, a 30-yard touchdown drive following the interception. That has been the scoring, going deep again. Has a man. It is underthrown. It is intercepted. Here is Patrick Hunter. Hunter out to the 20, the 25, the 30, and he steps out of bounds. Cool move on the return.
And they tested Patrick Hunter one too many times. There were 2 overthrows, 1 drop, and that one was thrown short. Seattle puts it in the end zone here. It's death for the Raiders. You may have heard the displeasure from the Raiders fans who thought they had a little pass interference. You want to say, oh, they're both playing the ball, but you see a little subtle bump in the back? You know, that's kind of like the NBA where you're tugging on jerseys, but that's they're both going for the ball. They're both playing the ball. And Jeff Hostetler, how do you think he would have called it? Watch this. Why'd I do that?
The Seattle Seahawks now, 1 fumble recovery, 2 pass interceptions, a first down at their own 33-yard line. And the give is to Chris Warren. Remember last week when we talked with Chris, and he had a lot of family in the Washington, D.C. area, and he was looking for 100 tickets, and he got 20. Well, he stayed over with the family, and Tom Flory said, you know, if you have a good ball game, you can stay over. And in the fourth quarter, he came limping out of the ball game, and he looked down at Flory's, and Flory's was looking at him. He ran down to him and said, I'm okay. I'm okay. And he was okay, and he did stay over.
And this is Warren's time of the ball game.
Yes.
I mean, this is where Warren puts his foot on the Raiders' throat and takes time away off the clock.
And here he is. Good hole right side. Cuts back. And he'll pick up the first down. Fumble. The Raiders have the ball. No, they're going to rule the ball down. The ground, as you know, cannot cause a fumble. And the play is ruled dead at the 49-yard line.
And if he wants to have another conversation with Tom Flores on the sideline, he tried doing this again. Watch the very end of this as he goes down, and let's check out where exactly the ball does come out. I agree. That was very good. He was down and or near the ground before that thing came out of his arms.
So Seattle with a first down as they retain possession. And a little play action fake. Throwing off of it. Juggle. It is Steve Smith. But right now, let's go to Greg Gumbo for an update in New York. He comes in unseeded in the U.S. Open. And that, you know, that is a boost that tennis needs worldwide.
Maybe now he can afford a haircut and a shave.
Yes. Here is Chris Warren again, and like you said, this is his time of the ball game. A lot of time remaining, 2:15 and counting in the third. But here's where he can pick up a lot of yardage and also help his ball club by taking a lot of time off the clock.
If they put together a 70-odd yard drive here, mainly on the ground through the efforts of Chris Warren and this offensive line, they put more than numbers between them and the Raiders. They put a lot of air. And more importantly, they put a lot of air in the standings in the AFC West, going 2-0 to 0-2.
18 carries thus far for Warren, 56 yards rushing. Meyer pump fake, throws back, pass is complete, has the first down as he goes to Paul Green. And he is dropped by Derek Hoskins. And again, the clock just continues on its march.
There's a lot of young quarterbacks that have come into this league that would have loved to be in the position Rick Meyer is in right now and has been in the last 2 years with an offense that's got a 1,000-yard rusher, a big physical offensive line. He is not the guy at this point that has to win games for the Seattle Seahawks. He will be. He's the guy that can't lose games for Seattle by making mistakes.
First down, 40-yard line. There's a pump fake, and he goes deep, has a man. And it is caught for the touchdown, Michael Bates. And he got behind Lionel Washington.
Well, Charlie, maybe sometimes he can win the game.
Yeah. On the other hand.
You know, I'm surprised that Bates was that wide open because, and Art Shell will agree, when he sees the tape, that was not exactly an all-pro caliber kind of a pump fake that Rick Meyer gives. It was more of kind of a body lean, and it was a nice job by Bates, who's still sort of learning his craft, concentrating on that catch.
And the Seattle Seahawks continue to stretch their margin. Now John Casey after the bow, and the ovation for Michael Bates. Here is the attempt for the point after. And it is good as he splits the uprights. And the Seahawks move in front now by a score of 24-3 over the Raiders with less than a minute to go in the third. And a smattering of boos here in the Coliseum. 67-yard drive, 6 plays. 17 points for the Seahawks off of turnovers.
And that's been the story, and that's the thing that, you know, Jeff Hostetler has told us yesterday. You know, we're just out of sync. We're just not quite there. Well, one thing they didn't do much of last week was give the ball away that often. What they've added to today is just being a little bit out of sync in their long passing game, and they give them the ball away.
And remember, not so long ago, opposite end of the field, when the Raiders with that opportunity to Alexander Wright, and then they followed by the interception, and all of a sudden the Seahawks an almost insurmountable lead of 24-3.
Wait.
Be sure to join.
Charlie, who would you put in there?
Of the 40, I will take one pick. My surefire pick, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Okay? The rest, the other 39 are yours. All right, here we go. John Casey is going to kick off with Rocket Ismail and Harvey Williams as the return man. Ismail on the return as he is upended. And we mentioned just a moment ago, 17 points off of turnovers. That is not only the turnovers by your defense, but also capitalizing on it.
And when you're doing it against the team that runs the ball well and also is able to use the clock at the same time, it's deadly. I mean, you pay not only by points, you pay by time.
All right, you're looking at a situation now in the West where the Seahawks, their record could well be 2-0, and the Raiders' record could well be 0-2.
If there's a team in this AFC West that has the ability to be 4 plays from now ahead by throwing long passes, it's the Raiders.
All right, Hostetler, of course, comes out throwing near sideline. And he has the rocket, almost a quick burst. And he could have been free down the sideline. Carlton Gray got him. But they have a dangerous set of receivers, don't they?
Well, they really do. And, you know, Hostetler realizes the fact that he's in such a different offense than he was in New York, where it was much like kind of Seattle does, high percentage passes and pound the ball in your face. Here in L.A., you're going underneath just from the fact that you can't throw it long every time.
We're taking the countdown on the time remaining in the third quarter here in the Coliseum. Hostetler throws far side. The pass will be incomplete. Next week, Seattle returns home. They will host San Diego. Now, a reminder for Seahawks fans, that game is a 1 o'clock game at Husky Stadium. And then the following week, they will host Pittsburgh, and that game also at Husky Stadium, but that is a 3 o'clock start. And next weekend, the Raiders will be at Denver.
And bring your Miners hats to that 3 o'clock start. You're going to need it in the second half.
Yes, we understand there will be additional lighting, and we also understand we may need the additional lighting. Second down. Hostetler throws. It was caught at the 50. Let's see where they mark the spot. They may give him the spot of the reception as we'll take the countdown to the end of the period. It was Ishmael who caught it and Gray who hit it. So that is the end of the third quarter with the score Seattle 24, Raiders 3. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Welcome back to the Coliseum. And, you know, Charlie, they made a big deal about the 40th anniversary, Charlie. Here you go.
I can't believe you.
Happy 35th, Charlie. Everything but the ribbon.
Hostetler goes deep, and he overthrows him, and he was probably looking at the lady on the sideline with my T-shirt on.
I know you were.
I certainly was.
Hey, getting back, Charlie, don't be surprised.
No, let's go back.
Let's go back there.
Let's go back. That's better than anything we've seen recently.
Don't be surprised, I think, if later on, if in this fourth quarter, at some point, we see Vince Evans. You know, Vince Evans, if he does something better than Hostetler at this point, he does throw the ball very well deep. And that's something Jeff has just been a little bit off on so far today.
There is Vince on the sideline. You, of course, saw him last Monday night, late in the ball game against the 49ers. Hostetler to throw. Scrambles, has pressure, comes back, and this one is intercepted. Bob Spitulski with the interception. That is 4 turnovers. 3 interceptions and a fumble recovery. And nobody said that much about it. Hostetler hurt his thumb in the 49ers ballgame. It doesn't seem as if it's been bothering him.
Well, that was a case where he got coverage, and then he just went along and tried to go ahead and throw it anyway into a coverage situation. One of those things where he'd like to have it back. I'm sure he didn't see Spitulski, but has to anticipate that. And a little bit of pressure, but Cortez Kennedy hardly put enough pressure on him to cause him to throw an interception.
And Cortez is either holding him down or helping him.
That's Cortez's way of saying sit.
But I would agree with him. And Vince Evans is now beginning to loosen up on the sideline from the 45-yard line. Here's Chris Warren for the Seahawks. Nolan Harrison with the tackle. And the stats on Jeff Hostetler: 17 of 36, 181, 3 interceptions. Los Angeles has had 3 possessions this half, and all 3 have ended with interceptions. And here is Vince Evans, as you expected, now beginning to loosen up for the ballgame.
Well, it was an old song lyric from about the 60s and 70s. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear eats you, and the bear is hungry.
That's right. Personified by the Seahawks.
And well fed at the moment.
That's right. And the bear cleverly disguised as a Seattle Seahawk. All right, here's Chris Warren again, and he will continue to work on the clock. Greg Biekert with the tackle. and it's going to be third down.
You know, the one thing that's amazing about, Chris Warren is we talked about the fact he's not really a highly recognized guy. He's a 1,000-yard rusher the last 2 seasons. You know, the class of 90 guys in their 5th year, look at the company he's in. This is what he's done over the last 2 years. Keep in mind, those other 3 guys have been playing a lot all 4 years before this. Chris Warren had 24 yards rushing his first 2 years.
One of the Raider defenders in the neutral zone. Meyer goes deep. He knows he has a free play. This one is intercepted by the Raiders. They're going to bring this one back. Terry McDaniel returns to the 25. Now at the 40. And everybody, I think, in the ballpark realizes
that was for exercise.
Yes, and for show. I believe it was Austin Robbins, the rookie from North Carolina, who normally would not be in the ballgame at this time. In case you missed it earlier in the ballgame, Chester McLaughlin and Andre Bruce, defensive lineman for the Raiders.
Offside.
Ray Roberts.
Defense, number 99. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down. Third down.
That was Winston Moss who gets the call. Ray Roberts, the offensive tackle of the Seahawks. You know, all 3 were ejected after a melee.
And that Raiders defensive line shortage was started earlier this week when Scott Davis walked out of camp after that altercation he had with Beaker, the inside linebacker for the Raiders. So that sort of started everything off this week. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. The 49ers started everything off this week.
You're right. Absolutely right.
Davis added a little more momentum with a push to that ball, and things have just sort of kept going for the Raiders.
And the report on Albert Lewis of the Raiders, who was injured earlier in this half, it is a concussion. That is very good news. It is a concussion. Of course, he will not come back today. In time will tell when he'll be able to play again. But sometimes we'll be able to play following a concussion in the next ball game next week. Yeah. Here's Tracy Johnson, the fullback, as he goes down the far side. But all those things we're talking about the Raiders. We saw Seattle against Washington last week. They did not make mistakes. They played well. They come in here against, albeit you might figure, a better ball club than the Redskins, but a ball club that everybody figured would come roaring back after a big loss to the 49ers. They were completely embarrassed. And the Seahawks have done the same thing that the 49ers have done. They have embarrassed the Raiders.
And this is a very solid football team.
Yes.
They're not going to be confused offensively with San Francisco, but they are an extremely solid, well put together team. And the man you saw earlier, Tom Flores, is the one that's responsible for that.
Rick Meyer, the quarterback, has completed 18 of 25. Chris Warren here gets the call. Myers thrown for just over 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I think the most important thing that he did in the ballgame, remember when he was really stuck. He is a tough kid. He didn't come out for a play. I mean, there were some penalties and there were flags and all that, and we looked at it, we talked about it, and he just got up and kept on going.
I told you, this is the kind of offense that can throw for 200 yards and kill you.
Yes, and they have. That's exactly what they've done. You're absolutely right.
Well, that tells you right there. Last week they were extremely equal. They almost ran and passed for the same amount of yards, and Rick Meyer today is having a much better day in the air.
And here's the reverse to Bates, and he is in all kinds of problems, and he's going to end up losing a big chunk of yardage.
Find a hole and crawl into it.
Yes. All right. What are the Jets doing? Well, let's find out. Here's Greg Gumbel.
All right, Charlie, at the Meadowlands, the Jets have a point conversion. Now down to 2.5 to play. The Jets lead at 22-19, Charlie.
All right, Greg, we've had everything here except a 2-point conversion. It is all Seattle, 24-3 over the Raiders. Just under 11 minutes left to go in this ballgame. Meyer back to throw, throws it back underneath the coverage to Chris Warren. And Warren high step to the 20, the 15, the 10, cuts back. He is going to score.
Touchdown, Seattle.
Chris Warren, 38 yards away, his second touchdown of the ballgame.
The most common thing we've said so far today, I think, if people have noticed, is sort of underappreciated or unnoticed. This Seahawks team is not going to be unnoticed much longer with the kind of performances they're putting on in these first 2 weeks. Chris Warren has just showed again he's the type of running back that he's smooth. Yeah. Doesn't do anything herky-jerky, doesn't do anything kind of off-center. Everything he does is headed north and south, and I'd say his biggest fan is patting him on the head right there, Tom Flores.
So now for the Seahawks, 24 points off of turnovers. And for Rick Meyer, that is his third touchdown pass of the ballgame. And here is the extra point attempt by John Casey. And it is good. The Seattle Seahawks completely dominating the Raiders. And we'll be back with a kickoff.
Who believes in the athlete in all of us. And by Coors Light, the silver bullet. Keep on moving.
Welcome back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles. The Seattle Seahawks out in front of the Raiders, 31-3. Vince Evans has his helmet on. He is the number 2 quarterback for the Raiders. Here is the kick. And it is taken at the 12 by the Rocket Ishmael, and he is cut down around the 21-yard line. We've got a flag drop downfield at the 39-yard line. Robinson making the tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle this season has allowed so far only 1 touchdown, and that was the opening drive
Holding
by the Washington Redskins.
Number 54 on return, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And there is the call, and here is Vince Evans. He is now the quarterback for the Raiders as he comes in with 10:36. That is the time remaining in the ball game. The officials are going to place the ball back at the 11-yard line.
And don't be misled. Jeff Hostetler is the quarterback of this team. This is not so much a case of saying, well, gee, it's because the Hostetler played bad. This is the case of the Raiders wanting to try anything they can. I played with Joe Montana. Joe Montana got yanked.
Other people's money. That's all tonight right here on NBC.
He talks about all the quarters and whatnot. It breaks down at 19 possessions now. The Seattle defense has stopped the other team from scoring.
That is awesome.
But you have to add a bit of a sobering note. The Raiders could have scored at least 2 touchdowns on some of those long passes today if the passes would have broke that streak up a little early.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Second down. And here is the screen. Middle screen to Harvey Williams. Now, when Vince Evans comes in, they have the first down out to the 25-yard line. Are the Raiders throwing in the towel in this ballgame?
I don't think it's give up. I think they're willing to try something different in recognition of the fact that their regular guy, Jeff Hostetler, has taken a heck of a beating on a day he just hasn't been quite on.
Well, Hostetler now is 0 for 2 against the 49ers. And here. Nice look again. That was a...
Remember that one last day?
Yeah, that's right. This pass downfield to Tim Brown. I'd like when my partner kind of gave me a look and said, it was a look. I'm not sure how to interpret it, but that pretty well covers it, doesn't it?
I'd have to tell you, there are some insecure jobs, I think, on the L.A. Raider football team. Jeff Hostetler's isn't one of them.
No, I don't think so. I agree with you there.
But after their exhibition the last couple of weeks, they've got some defensive guys that are in the least don't buy category.
And they have an offensive line that still has not established a running. First down at the 37-yard line. Evans, a good scrambler. He cuts back 45, 50, has the first down. Little slide at the 40. What is it, what, 39-year-old legs rambling for 23 yards. Hope for us all.
Charlie, Vince Evans was in the NFL when Joe Montana was still coming off the bench at Notre Dame. Let's talk about Joe being an old quarterback. Look at this. I mean, you're going to see a burst of speed here now. But my favorite part's the end. I can run. I can still do it.
Yes, and I can get
boy,
down.
I'm smart enough to get the heck down.
Right. 3-step drop. Pass is low. Incomplete. It was trapped. James Jett, the intended receiver. So it'll be second down. He is Vince Evans, the second oldest player in the league, and the oldest player in the league plays down the freeway.
Jackie Slater,
yes,
starting once again for the Los Angeles Rams, who let's be charitable and say they got beat rather badly today.
They did. They did.
The Atlanta Falcons, Andre Rison guaranteed a win. And he said nothing about an embarrassment.
It's true. Evans is hit. Ball pops loose. A scramble for it. And the Raiders recover. Gerald Perry and Bruce Wilkerson were both there for Los Angeles.
Yeah, you know, you can say what you want about, like I've mentioned, Hostetler overthrowing and the execution being off. This is 2 weeks in a row now I've seen Seattle, and I think Seattle makes people play like that with the way they play defense and the way they methodically kind of just wear you on you offensively.
They just keep coming back and coming back. Downfield pass complete. The Rocket pulls it in. Robinson really nails it.
Man.
And he comes and hits him high, too. I am a bit surprised I didn't see a flag on that.
I mean, that was a legitimate hit. His head was up. He does not drop it. He catches him with some shoulder, and that's the kind of contact that knock him all the way back to the CFL.
Spot the ball at the 32-yard line. 4th down and a couple, and they're going for it here. We have movement offensively and defensively. Everybody resets. A Seahawk comes free, and there's the sack.
Rod Stevens coming off the corner. They've tried that on several occasions today. Stevens, normally a middle linebacker, has been moving around and bringing it.
And nobody picked him up.
Yeah, and then this one right here is,
Right there. Oh.
hit me right here. Wow.
And so the Seahawk defense holds, and Seattle takes over on down. They are comfortably in front by a score of 31-3. And we'll step aside. We'll be back to the Coliseum in just a moment. When we walked into the Coliseum today, you pointed out first thing.
Oh,
and I miss it.
That's the one thing they talked about. The ivy is gone off the Coliseum.
Yep.
I lived down in Georgia Trail. I can tell you, there's this stuff that came over from the African continent. It's called kudzu. Kudzu would cover this stadium in ivy. They miss it that much.
They do it in a week.
Yeah, it'd be to the Harbor Freeway by playoffs.
You saw the auxiliary press box. That's where the press is. Here is the handoff to John Vaughn, who has now replaced Chris Warren as running back for the Seahawks. He's going to lose 3 or 4 yards. The press box, in reality, 3 levels. The first level, that is the level that we are now on. The second level is the level that radio and television used to be on. The third level would be the roof where the photographers were. The upper levels are closed off. The lower level has been redesigned for radio and television. The auxiliary press box is for the newspaper and the wire services.
And I want to tell you, having seen some of the footage of the damage that was done to this, but it's amazing they got this done.
Yes, a man by the name of Ron Tudor, who is an SC alumni and is a construction company. He came in immediately before anything was awarded, and here's a handoff to John Vaughn off the right side. And a fumble, and the Raiders come up with the ball. Here comes Terry McDaniel down the sideline, and he steps into the end zone for the touchdown. 41 yards.
And if you ever wonder why they call this time of a game when one team's the way ahead, garbage time, there's a good example. See all the people standing around watching this? Watch what happens at the end of this play when the fumble is actually made. Vaughn puts it on the ground. It's down. And outside of Rick Meyer, everybody else is a spectator. You're catching the fourth quarter, you have to pay a quarter of the price of admission if you're going to watch.
And so the Raiders defense scores their first touchdown of the ballgame. And they'll go for 2.
And if they spread things out, keep an eye on something. I wouldn't be surprised to see him use Vince Evans' ability to move around, a quarterback draw type of a play.
He would be an excellent two-point quarterback, and we expect to see them use him as such throughout the season. And the Raiders are going to take a timeout now to talk this over, and that is, I am sure, just to figure out
40 seconds timeout.
Exactly what play they want to use on this 2-point conversion. But I just want to top off the story that I was talking about at Ron Tudor, and he came in and you see the Olympic flame on the peristyle in, and that had all collapsed and it was leaning over, and he brought his company in, and they bulked everything up just to try and save it, just to hold it so that if there was another trimmer or something, more damage would not be done to the Coliseum. And then they came back and they have big supports that they have put inside so that if in the future they want to build suites that the Coliseum will support it. And they have done it. You don't even notice services. They have done a tremendous job in, what, like 8 months.
And it wasn't only construction people involved here. There were a lot of people involved as far as historically being sure this thing was restored and in the proper fashion, in the way it was originally constructed for the Olympics.
It was originally constructed in 1927 for the Los Angeles Fiesta. And then it was enlarged for the 1932 Olympic Games.
Then they had that other event. A little bigger than the Los Angeles Fiesta. The Olympics.
Super Bowl what?
yeah, minus 36.
That's right. Which did not sell out. Yeah. All right, here we go for 2. We are rambling. And it's that kind of an afternoon. Evans to throw, sets. How are they going to rule it? They're going to rule it down there in the field of play. Tim Brown, either that or they're going to rule it incomplete. So the score will remain the same as a fail on the 2-point conversion. So we'll step aside. We'll be back with the kickoff in just a moment. For the Raiders, their defense scores, their offense fails on the 2-point conversion. Now they'll come back with an onside kick.
And it's up to the special teams now to see if they can't get the ball back. Watch how this usually is done. You'll see the ball, most kickers will kick this so it bounces twice, and on that second bounce it goes up. And when I say up, I mean 10, 12, 15 feet off the ground, makes it a jump ball.
Jager to kick off on the onside kick. It has to go 10 yards or be touched by a Seahawk before the Raiders can recover. And we have flags down on the play.
That's going to be offsides on the Raiders. The Raiders moved at Gossett's urgings there when he dropped his arm, but I think they just moved a little quicker than Jager could get to the ball.
The Seahawks recovering the onside kick.
Offside on the kickoff, number 25. Penalty is declined. First down.
Tonight on NBC, following the game on most of these stations, you'll see Angels, the Mysterious Messengers, and then we'll bring you the network premiere of other. So Seattle has the ball just outside the Los Angeles 38-yard line. And a first down. In addition, they have a 31-9 lead. And here is John Vaughn. Vaughn, who coughed it up, back in. He gets the next handoff, and he picks up about 15 yards on the play. So it'll be a first down at the 25-yard line.
Well, the bodies have changed at halfback, but the results are looking fairly similar. Not quite the smooth gliding of Chris Warren, but Vaughn does a good job there of just bouncing it and then not getting too enamored with the bounce and taking it straight upfield.
So a first down at the Raiders' 25-yard line. Warren on the sideline. Another good afternoon. A bit surprised perhaps that Rick Meyer still in the quarterback.
To hand off? No. Because that's all he's going to do is he's going to hand off.
Right. It'll be second down and 10. I thought perhaps we might see Dan McGuire. There he is, number 10.
You know, it's a real plus for this organization. Stan Gelbaugh, 18 next to him, but the real plus with McGuire, they feel very comfortable down with McGuire. They drafted him a few years ago, kind of mixed reviews for a while. He had some injury problems, but they're extremely confident in the job they know he can do as the backup quarterback.
He was their #1 choice in '91. Second down and 10. Here is Vaughn. Move on to the 21-yard line. The Raiders at Denver. Next week, Seattle returns home. Their home opener. They'll be hosting San Diego again. A reminder, Husky Stadium at 1 o'clock. What about the Raiders at Denver? Mile High Stadium.
It's not a good place to try to get healthy for Art Shell and the Raiders. It's a place they've traditionally had a tough time. It's one of the hardest places to play in the NFL, and the only way for them to get better, I think, is to get better offensively. Their problems are pretty good on defense, but they have just got to produce some points on offense.
Vaughn just kind of slides through near the 17-yard line. So it's been fourth down and a couple, and we expect the field goal team to come in. Nolan Harrison with the tackle. 4 minutes, 19 seconds and counting. And for Tom Flores, this will be career victory 101 as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Remember last week when we talked to him before, you know, he said about 100, you know, if you win against the Redskins, he said, well, it's really not that important. Gary Wright, you know, he kind of reminds me of this, and then afterwards they gave him the game ball, and he said, this is one of the great days of my life. So he had thought about it a lot more than he told us.
And you're absolutely right what you said earlier. I mean, he's a guy that also has not gotten all the credit he deserves. Won 2 Super Bowls here with the Raiders, much like the quarterback that won those 2 Super Bowls with Tom Flores, Jim Plunkett. You know, when people say quick Raider head coach, the average fan's going to say John Madden. And when you say quick Raider quarterback, they're going to say Kenny Stabler. But both those guys only won 1 Super Bowl.
That's not a bad accomplishment.
Oh, no.
But it's only 1. You know, that's right. You know. Others have done more.
It was interesting on NFL Live today. It was they had a conversation with Emmitt Smith and with Troy Aikman, and Emmitt was talking about how motivated the Dallas Cowboys are to win and to get another Super Bowl. And I can tell you from personal experience, and Tom's been to a few of these Super Bowls. Super Bowl's kind of like the Pro Bowl. There's only one thing worse than never having gone to a Super Bowl or a Pro Bowl, and that's only going once. Because once you've been there and once you know what it's like to be recognized as the best or to be the best,
what does that
it's
taste
an
like?
Awful lonely thing.
You have 3 rings?
I've got 3. I retired, and I'll be darned they went and did it again the year after I left. So they missed the heck out of the game.
36-yard field goal attempt by John Casey.
Are we up to 20 penalties here?
We're close. We are close. It was through the uprights, but there was a flag on the play. 1 on each side of the field. 3:49. That is the time remaining in the ballgame. Casey has hit from 33 yards away earlier.
We have a neutral zone violation. The offense moved. However, the defense was in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty against the defense. First down.
When things are going bad,
they all go bad.
Things are getting negative.
Yes.
Oof.
And I'm not completely sure I understood the explanation, but the bottom line is it's a first down Seattle.
Well, at this point, I think everybody involved with this on offense, on defense, on the sideline is saying, how much time left?
Yes.
You know, they want to run this thing out because, I mean, look, 20 penalties.
You asked. There it is, 20 penalties.
And if you're not playing well offensively and you're not playing well defensively, you can't afford to do 2 things. You can't get penalties, you can't turn over the ball, and Art Shell's watched his team do all 4.
All right, a first down. And here is Vaughn to the left side. And he's going to pick up a couple of yards. As time runs out in this ballgame, let's talk about the AFC West. Seattle's record, they will now be 2-0. We have flags flying again, a little pushing and shoving. Kansas City defeated the 49ers earlier today by a score of 24-17. So Seattle is 2-0, Kansas City is 2-0. And let's check and see what is the San Diego score. We can check down with our staff if we have that. It is a final. Yes, San Diego defeats Cincinnati 27-10. So the Chargers are 2-0. And the Jets edge Denver by 3, 25-22. So Denver is 0-2.
And I really think,
the Raiders are going to be 0-2.
You know, to sort of put it into a perspective, you got to win 12 games to win the West.
Yeah.
So whether you start out winning 2, you start out winning your last 6, if you can get 12 wins, you can win this division. Because there's going to be 2 wild card teams, I think, from this division again. It's going to happen like it did last year, and 8-8 is going to be good enough for 5th place.
But if you're going to win 12, it's easier if you win the first 2.
Yeah, much.
I mean, it gives you a jump start on the season, and you feel good about yourself.
You know, what kind of an all-desperation bowl does that make that game next week in Denver?
Oh boy. Projecting ahead the standings after 2 weeks. This is exactly what we were talking about, and the Raiders are at Denver Mile High Stadium next Sunday.
You got 2 teams in a hole in Denver and LA, and the loser of that game next Sunday is not only in a hole, there's going to be people standing in line to push dirt in on.
Also next Sunday, Seattle home, Husky Stadium, hosting San Diego. Another good ball game. And the lineup that we're talking about, the Jets, they will be at Miami, Indianapolis at Pittsburgh, the Raiders at Denver, San Diego at Seattle. And so many of you that are watching here will see one of those ball games. It's a single header next week for NBC. And this is the newly acquired defensive lineman that is coming out for recognition.
Too much caffeine.
I hope he's not parked in our parking lot.
Way too much caffeine, I can tell.
Because if he is, he's with you.
If you'll remember, I didn't give you back.
I know you didn't. Yes. Is that our driver to the airport? All right, meanwhile.
Illegal formation against the offense. 5 yards. That penalty is declined by rule. We had a personal foul. Unnecessary roughness by number 20. We will penalize half the distance to the goal line. Then we had another unnecessary roughness against number 20, for which number 20 is ejected. We will penalize half the distance to the goal line a second time.
So Derek Hoskins becomes the third Raider to be ejected in the ballgame. He joins Andre Bruce and Chester McLaughlin. And for Seattle, Ray Roberts was ejected.
Well, they're going from the 13 to the 6.5,
yeah,
and the 6.5 to the 3 3/4. And
yes,
it's starting to get a little, they're running out of halves.
They're running out of halves. An afternoon in the Coliseum completely dominated by the Seattle Seahawks. And remember, the Raiders had won the last 8 ball games between these two clubs. And Seattle, remember when we talked to them last week? And we walked away after meeting with them and say, they're, confident. No, they're a little cocky. Are they really that good? Well, they're on their way to being that good. I mean, they certainly are.
Obviously, the reason the whole idea isn't to be the best team in the AFC West after 2 weeks. It's after 17 weeks and we've played all the regular season games. But Tom Flores has got this team believing in everything he does.
McGuire is now the quarterback. He hands off to Vaughn, and he will go to the 1-yard line. And also, the Seahawks will be blessed by the return of Sam Adams, the defensive tackle, and he's going to be side by side with Cortez Kennedy. He's been bothered by that knee injury, the '1 draft choice out of Texas A&M. I saw him in the Cotton Bowl on NBC last year. He is another force inside.
That gives you 2 defensive tackles, and he and Cortez Kennedy, 6'2", 6'3", 300-ish. That can move quickly. They're both extremely quick guys that can rush the passer and stuff the run. I mean, I don't see them getting anywhere but better.
McGuire fumbles on the snap. It is kicked at the bottom of the pile.
He might be able to kick that.
Might have kicked into the end zone.
He's the only one that can recover that. It's going to be probably about 6 inches short.
Seattle recovering the fumble. So it's 3rd down and goal to go, 1-yard line. There it is, just pulled away. The ball did not come with him, and he went down after it.
I like that attitude, Charlie. I can tell you work with the former offensive lineman. You blame the quarterback.
Of course.
Pulled out of there too fast.
That's right, he did. Oh, yes. And into the end zone is Tracy Johnson. As Tracy Johnson scores the touchdown.
Well, some might take that as kind of rubbing it in. Never hit a man when he's down, kick him, it's easier. Well, the way the Raiders have played here lately, it's more like, never hit a man when he's down, let him kick himself, because the Raiders basically put Seattle in this position. Does pure power and push. He's stopped on the 1 and does not stop. He's pushed, he's pulled, and then one thing he's not tackled.
That makes it 37-9 in a stoic look.
Not a happy happy camper.
No, not at all. John Casey with the extra point. And it is good. 38-9. The Seattle Seahawks out in front of the Raiders. With just over 2.5 minutes left to go. A chance to thank Ron Lux and Steve Sitcher, our spotters, and our old friend Dennis Mnuchin, our statistician. Thank you, gentlemen, for your outstanding work today. And big smiles all around. It'll be a nice flight home for the Seattle Seahawks, and for the Raiders, it's back to the drawing board.
Exactly. It's back to their center there in El Segundo. Hopefully for them, they won't. They can come out of this healthy. They won't have anybody else walk out on them this week like Scott Davis did last week, and they can regroup this thing because they're going to be going into a place in Denver where they're going to be facing another 0-2 team that they're in a situation in the third week they've almost got to do anything to get a win.
And I'm sure that the Denver Broncos feel the same way.
Exactly.
The attendance this afternoon, 47,319 here at the Coliseum. And, of course, the Seahawks will go home on a major high, and it's a major low for the Raiders. And the Seahawks will be hosting the San Diego Chargers, likewise a 2-0 ball club. That'll be a good ball game. And a good matchup between two young ball clubs, both wanting to make their mark this season.
Very similar teams, yes. Too. They're not. Neither one's an offense that's gonna light you up by intention. They're gonna want to run the ball, be very aggressive with the running game, and both defenses. The stars on both these teams are guys that come to mind are defenders.
Yes. And when you think of San Diego, you immediately think of Junior Seau, and he is having a superb season. And the Seahawks fans, ball pops loose. Seattle comes up with it.
He fumbled after he hit the ground, though.
David Brandon had it, and it is marked down at the 30-yard line. Speaking of the AFC West, here's their strength of schedule of their opponents. Kansas City's a little over 53%. This is their schedule of last year. Then the Raiders, Denver, San Diego. Seattle has that fifth-place schedule, and that's a good schedule to play. And there's a reason for it, because they use it to rebuild ball clubs to get back into the mix. San Diego was successful coming off of that fifth-place schedule in the past, and others likewise.
They played the Colts twice this year. Before the season started, you'd say that's not a big deal, and that's probably 2 easy wins. But Marshall Falk has got that group pretty much fired up, though they did lose today to Tampa Bay. The Colts are going to be a 500 or so team, so they're a team that could beat just about anybody.
Harvey Williams, the ball carrier. Seattle, as you saw, has the edge in the schedule, but that edge can change depending on how everybody plays. This year, 2-minute warning. We'll step aside. We'll be back with the last 2 minutes of the ball game in a moment. It has been a very long afternoon for the Raiders. Last 2 minutes of the ball game. But a very pleasant afternoon for the Seattle Seahawks. They are comfortably in front, 38-9. Evans to throw, and it is incomplete.
Yeah, we talked to Jeff Hostetler about the difference between the New York Giants and the Raiders for how they handled a game like they had last Monday night. And Jeff said, well, the main difference is we wouldn't have come in like we did here and watched the tape of that game Monday night. We just sort of put it behind us and said, well, that's behind us. Let's go on to the next game. The Raiders came in. They watched the tape. They tried to sort of learn from what they did. I don't think they're in a position to ignore anything. They can't not watch a tape because there's too much in each one of these tapes, I think, at the point in the mistakes they're making to pass it up. They've got lots to learn.
Third down, here's Harvey Williams. He's going to pick up the first down. And so the clock will continue to move. You can mark the ball just shy of the Raider 44-yard line.
Bob Stadolski on the tackle.
And we'll take a look at the quarterback comparison of the two starting quarterbacks. And Mike, you mentioned this earlier about Rick Meyer. It's so true. He doesn't impress you so much as he just beats you.
Exactly. Cover the left side of that stat right there. Don't look at Meyer and Hostetler and say, okay, quick, which one's the second-year quarterback?
Mm-hmm. Good point. And he doesn't handle himself like a second-year quarterback. Here's Harvey Williams. And he is down in the field of play. And there is a good look at a young man that you are going to be seeing a lot as you see him in person, either in Seattle or when the Seahawks are on the road or on NBC's national television coverage. And it was interesting. You talking about last year, you said, when I started in high school, my first year I was terrible. Then in my first year at Notre Dame, I was terrible. Since last year, I was terrible. I said, I did okay the other two times, so I think I'll do okay here. And he has.
I think he's an extremely humble young guy. I find it hard to believe that he isn't one of those kind of chosen, golden childs like that movie was that hasn't probably ever been bad at anything.
And he took a Hostetler took a beating. He took a beating a couple of times in this ball game too. He's a tough young man. Yes.
You know, we talked on the way over here in the car from the hotel, Charlie, that, you know, what is it about Seattle? You know, how good could it be? I think Seattle could be one of the greatest places to play there is in the NFL. I mean, wonderful weather. You got golf. You got boating. You got all sorts of great things, and it's a wonderful area for the players in the offseason, business-wise and whatnot. So, hey, the only thing there is they haven't won.
Yeah, and now they're starting to win.
And I think number 3 and Tom Flores are going to see to it they're going to do that.
And here's Harvey Williams. That should be the last carry of the ball game. So we'll take the countdown to make it official. So the Seattle Seahawks, their record now is 2-0 as they defeat the Raiders 38-9. They'll return home with smiles on their faces. We'll be back in a moment. Once again, the final score is Seattle defeating the Raiders by a score of 38-9. For Randy Cross, I'm Charlie Jones. So long from the Coliseum in Los Angeles. This has been a presentation of NBC Sports in our 30th year as your home for the NFL.